Hey, listen, before we get into today's episode, let me ask you this. When's the last time you had a proper break? Whether you're a truckie, a shift worker, a parent, or just here for the laughs. We know you're working bloody hard just to keep the wheels turning, and that's why our mates at Nature Bee want to send you on the holiday of a lifetime. We're talking $20,000 worth of travel anywhere in the world. You name it. Fiji, Vegas, the Outback, Rome, Paris, London, doesn't matter. New York, you choose. Stick with us because only Bonafide listeners get the inside scoop on double entry weeks, exclusive offers, and a lot more. So hit the link in the show notes or head to naturebee.com. Read the T's and C's, and I'll tell you more as we roll on throughout the episode of Bonafide, also made possible thanks to Nature Bee.
In a world where voices are silenced, one man refuses to lie down.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
He's been punted not once.
40 years they've been trying.
Not twice.
You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job.
But 3 times.
You're fired.
He doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you something to think about. Welcome to the Bonafide podcast with Luke Boner. And he's not.
All right, here we go.
Done.
Hold your ears, folks.
Yet.
It's showtime.
G'day, good morning, good evening, g'day, good afternoon, hello. What?
Just all of the hellos.
Well, I mean, I don't know when people turn this on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Could be morning, could be afternoon, could be evening,
Could be.
could be never.
Probably.
Hey, listen, if you want to recommend this podcast, please do so. We need all the help we can get. It's episode 75 of Bonafide with myself, and the millennials had a very busy week. We're going to meet a listener called Matt. Now, Matt's a truckie, and he wants to share a story with us about navigating the family courts. This is really heartbreaking radio, isn't it? So, listen, Matt, if you're listening, thank you so much for your email, and we'll be talking to Matt a little bit later on. We're going to be talking to Martin Shaw from Wounded Heroes. A quick shout out to Scott Coles, who is one of our top listeners according to Spotify Wrapped. What the hell?
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got no idea what that is, do you?
No.
Spotify Wrapped is something that comes out at the end of the year if you have a Spotify account, and it essentially gives you a summary of the top music you listen to, the top hours, all that type of stuff. And of course, you know, you can listen to Bonafide on Spotify. And Scott sent us a screenshot. We were his number one listened to podcast. So thank you to Scott, and also to everyone who maybe we were on your Spotify Wrapped as well and you didn't send a photo, but thank you to everyone that has listened throughout the year. It's very much appreciated. And Luke, last time I looked, we were number 75 in Australia's top news podcast. So that's good.
Is it?
That's very good. There's hundreds and thousands of news podcasts, so we're making it somewhere.
Okay, well, that's good. We want to improve on that. So what do we need people to do? Share it.
Share?
Tell
Tell
talk
people?
About it.
Yeah.
Pass it on. And send us requests for content that you'd like us to cover, because we are all ears. It's Bonafide Podcast to get through to us. Luke Boner, that radio guy at Gmail. Or call in and leave a voice message, 0291 289311.
We love the news.
Now, there have been more deaths involving e-bikes and e-scooters, and it's getting out of control. The numbers are amazing, and I'm tipping that electric bikes, what are those ones that I see out the window flying down this road here? got the big, long brown seats, and they're black, and they are everywhere. There's a bike shop down the road, and they're about $4,000. They're not cheap, but they're everywhere, and they are very, very, very fast. And I see kids going to school and they're not wearing helmets. There's sometimes 3 people on that seat, but they're a real concern. Now it turns out that parents could be fined under some e-bike registration proposed laws by the Liberals, making parents more accountable for their children's behaviour. Kids, food delivery riders and share bikes would need e-bike licence plates. This is what would happen if the Liberals won office in 2027. I've always said that there's got to be more regulation because these things are basically motorbikes. It all comes as new data has been revealed. Children are being sent to hospital with far more serious injuries while riding e-bikes. That's compared to riding bikes using pedal power alone. Something's got to happen.
Well, I would be interested to know if there are any nurses listening to this, because when you're scrolling on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, and a nurse will be answering a question of what would you never do as a nurse? Always nurses or doctors will say, I would never ride a motorbike, right? Even with a helmet, because the injuries can be catastrophic. I wonder now if e-bikes are on top of the list as well, because they are just mini motorbikes.
Well, my word, they are.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense for them to have registration because, you can cause some real damage with those things. And if there is no way of tracing the owner of that or the person responsible for the damage, then what are we doing? And
That's right. No, you've got to have some sort of consequences if someone breaks the law, and you don't know who they are because they don't have number plates. So what are your thoughts on e-bikes? Have you had an encounter? E-bikes and e-scooters, should they be allowed on footpaths?
Oh, mate, not if they're going bloody 45 kilometres an hour.
Well, they're supposed to be speed limited, but people tweak them. But you can still go very, very fast without tweaking them. Yeah,
surely there's a speed limit for walkways.
Well, anyway, I really want to know your feedback and your encounters with any of these bikes. What are your thoughts? I've got to be honest. If they were around when I was 13, I would have killed for one.
Of course, you can understand why kids want them, and especially if you live close enough to school, but far away enough where walking becomes an issue. An e-bike sounds like a good idea, but my mum would never, ever buy us a $4,000 present, ever.
No.
Ever.
You were saying, but your granddad would. No, would he?
Absolutely not.
But your Uncle Shane bought his daughter one.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It must be in a different tax bracket because, geez, I would never get at that.
I know why he got it. Because he wants to ride it.
Yeah, well,
because he's a big kid.
Well, that might be a family present,
Nah, he bought it for her, but he bought it for him.
Yeah.
I remember he got it for, was it last Christmas? And he made her ride it here, and she was as nervous as hell. And then he was on his motorbike, and he rode very slowly next to her while she was riding it. And she said, I'm not even sure. How do I get home again? Because she's always been in a car.
Yeah.
Her legs could hardly touch the ground, but he made her ride it.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
If you're going to spend that much money, you would hope that they're going to use it.
Anyway, your thoughts on all of this. Listen, I wanted to talk about Senator Annika Wells, who went off with 2 other federal employees to spruik Australia's social media ban to global leaders at a UN General Assembly in New York. Now, her travel bill has come back to, $100,000 just about. She went to New York City. She went out for dinner. And I am not suggesting for one moment that anything she did was illegal. It was completely within the framework of the expenditure that she's allowed to have.
Yeah.
But in business class airfares, she took staff with her. But then we find out that she's come under more intense scrutiny, all within government travel parameters, right? Nothing illegal. But she went to Thredbo for a work trip. She went to South Australia, and while she was there, she went to a friend's wedding. When she went to Paris, she was with the ambassador and staff, and they spent nearly $1,600 on dinner.
How?
Well, because it was a business trip.
But why?
It doesn't pass the pub test. I'll say again, she did not break any laws. And it's within the travel expenses parameters that federal politicians are entitled to. 3 return overseas business class trips for every politician with their partners. They get this on us.
Well, I just do not understand. If I was just a regular human and I booked a business class trip to New York for 3 people, it still wouldn't cost $94,000.
Nah, but there was accommodation, there were meals.
But the airfares alone, like if you just look at the bill for the airfares, that was a ridiculous. It doesn't add up.
Okay.
Do airfares charge more money when they know it's the government? Like I just don't understand.
Apparently, the airlines charge more when you book right at the last minute, and the trip was booked at the last minute, and apparently it had something to do with the Optus meltdown and phones.
Well, then you don't go. You don't go then.
Because the Prime Minister Albanese, he was there as well. Oh. So what did she need to be there?
What does Australia? You know how America's got the president's got their fucking airline. What's it called? Air Force One. Does Australia have an Air Force One?
Yes, they do. It's an RAAF aircraft.
Well, why don't they use that?
Well, why exactly?
I just don't understand.
It costs a lot of money to run.
I know, but still.
Do you remember when Kevin Rudd was Prime Minister? He used to use it all the time, and he brought an RAAF staff member to tears because he didn't get the sandwich he wanted. He screamed at her. It's documented.
Well, we don't know the context
Prime
around
Minister
it.
Kevin Rudd brings airline staffer to tears over a sandwich. Google it.
Well, we don't know the context around it. Maybe
he didn't get the sandwich.
Maybe
he
she
wanted.
was in a fragile state.
No, he was a prick.
But I was actually watching something on YouTube the other day, and it was from David Pocock. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, David Pocock. He's an independent member for the ACT.
Yeah, so
he's a senator.
Yeah, so I was watching a video of him, and he was doing that questioning thing to, when businesses, they have to go and do that questioning thing. You know the Future Fund?
Yeah.
So the CEO of the Future Fund, I cannot remember his name, David Pocock was grilling him because he also, on a business trip, ended up in this exclusive Disneyland club. It's called like the Disneyland 3066 Club or something or rather. And it's invite only or something. And it's very expensive. And David Pocock was asking, why does the Future Fund need to have this type of travel? And his response was, we needed to check out the beds and the hotel amenities to make sure they were appropriate for like contracts and people traveling there and stuff like that for the Future Fund. Like that just seems like outrageous. So I'm glad there are, people out there not letting this slip by and asking questions.
You've got to ask questions. But look, once again, I'm not suggesting anything Annika Wells did is illegal. It was all within the guidelines that are available. I think the guidelines need to be amended.
Absolutely they do. In a cost of living crisis, it does not
pass the pub test.
No, absolutely not.
It doesn't. I am still scratching my head over this content creator, Bonnie Blue, whose visa was revoked here in Australia because she was here working on a tourist visa. She makes pornography and sells it. Good luck to her. I mean, it's all consensual. It's with people who are over the age of 18, and what she does with her body, she's entitled to do. What do you make of it? Because 14 Australians were arrested in Bali involving this content creator, Bonnie Blue. 14 Australians. They were arrested in Bali as part of a police raid over alleged pornographic activity. Because we must remember,
Bali's got really strict rules around
this. It's mostly Muslim. Bali is Hindu, but Indonesia is very strict Muslim.
Yeah.
And what she's doing over there is, to them, highly immoral. And that's their business, their laws. What do you make? If you were the parent of an 18-year-old boy on schoolies, would you feel as though Bonnie Blue is preying upon your son, or do you think good luck to him?
His body, his choice, he can do what he wants to do.
And she can do what she wants with hers.
I just think, how silly do you have to be to do this stuff in Bali? Now, we spoke about Bonnie Blue a little while ago, and at that time, the information that we had was that she was carrying out like marketing activities in Bali. They're pretty strict on this, so she could get in a lot of trouble for this. But, I mean, it all adds to her brand. So, I mean... It
all adds to her brand.
Yeah.
The comedian Jimmy Carr, who is infamous for just telling very, very bawdy jokes. He has no filter and he doesn't care. Good luck to him. He's actually caused a bit of a stir because he was asked during one of his stand-up comedy nights, what do you make of Bonnie Blue? And he said, look, she can do with her body what she wants if everything's consensual. She wanted to break a world record for sleeping with the most men. It was over 1,000. The previous record was 900 and something. And he said, 12 hours of straight rooting. He said she must have been pretty sore, but so too as a bride who roots for 12 hours on a honeymoon.
Stop that.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
But then he said, I think the only record he broke was probably she's now the owner of the most embarrassed father. That's what got him in trouble because people said, why bring her family into it?
Yeah, well, I guess, I understand that argument.
It's Jimmy Carr, mate.
We can't assume to know what her family is thinking, right? And it's their business. And they
she's
might
the
be
owner of the most proud father. Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, some people have very different.
I wonder what her parents do think.
I mean,
Isn't
again,
they proud of her?
Maybe she's making a bloody mozza, if it was my daughter doing that, if I can go on it.
Really?
Yeah, if she can do what she wants to do as long as she's being safe and she's not coercing anyone into participating. Sex work is the oldest profession in the world, right? And she's just been able to monetize it and she's, not ashamed of it. So I think there's lots of different arguments for it. I don't think it's our place to assume what her parents think.
Let us know what you think. 0291289311. Does Bonnie Blue upset you? Does she?
Oh, who cares?
Do you not care? Anyway, I think she was stupid for trying to do it in Bali, but plenty of people still smuggle drugs into Bali.
Yeah, it's true.
And their laws are very different to ours.
That's probably the silliest thing she's done thus far. It's doing it in Bali.
Can we move on? Australia's new legislation surrounding people under the age of 16 having social media platforms available to them. We've talked a lot about it. But there's something that I discussed on Channel 7 recently, and I wanted to ask you about this because there's someone I really would like to get on our podcast, Kelsey, and that is journalist turned educator Bryce Corbett. Now, Bryce Corbett is the founder of Squiz Kids. Are you across this? It's a kid-friendly daily news podcast. And basically, they're saying at a time when technology is making it easier than ever to trick and mislead through platforms, and it's happened to me, it's happened to you, me more than you.
Yeah. Because
you're savvy. I mean, how many times have I had a news story and I've fired up about it and you have said to me, hang on, pull back. There's another side to this. Here's another source, Luke. Have you read this?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're very good at that.
It's called digital literacy.
Should it be taught in school?
Absolutely.
This is what they're saying. 97% of Australian adults have insufficient ability to verify information online, according to a report from the University of Canberra, Western Sydney University, Queensland University of Technology, and others. It's a joint study.
Yeah.
The report also found a strong desire among Australians for more media literacy education to combat misinformation. Should this be taught in schools?
Absolutely. I did a course at uni.
Yeah.
It was called Digital Literacy.
Yeah.
And I did a journo degree, so that's probably why it was more important for us kids. But the whole course was about identifying false or misleading information. We would analyze videos to determine if it was AI generated, because there's always giveaways for that stuff. How to check videos, how to check information, like the metadata behind it to know if it's real, if it was posted at the time that this person's saying. So yeah, it absolutely needs to be taught in schools, and this is why I think they've gone about this media ban the wrong way, because as soon as those kids turn 16, they're going to hop on the internet and be faced with exactly the same problems that they're trying to solve banning it. So if they're banning it, then they should also be teaching digital media literacy at the same time, instead of just crossing our fingers and just hoping that kids are smarter by the time they turn 16,
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially today more than ever. Let's see if we can get Bryce Corbett on very, very soon to talk about Squiz Kids and what his thoughts are. He sounds like a really interesting character. The giant chicken prank.
Yes.
What about this week?
Play the video.
A Sunshine Coast towie has pulled off an elaborate prank that gave his boss quite the shock. Sam Hughes hauled this giant chicken all the way from Brisbane to Nambour and dumped the beast in Clayton's towing car park.
Moved his car and they roared in, dumped the chook and bolted. My poor boss looked on his phone and it just switched from a car to a chook in the exact same spot, and he thought he was seeing things.
That is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That has got to be the best prank.
Where did he
ever.
get the chicken?
I think he found it on like Facebook Marketplace or something.
Because you know how we love big things. Red Rooster.
Sure. They should.
Hey?
Yeah. Or KFC.
Oh.
Stick it out the front.
Oh. We love our big things. If that was on top of a...
We're not very good at making them very big, though.
That needs to be bigger, but it's a big chook.
Oh, can I tell you a story about the, the big ram?
Yes, it's a Goulburn.
Goulburn,
The big merino it is.
When I was working at 2BS, we spoke to the man that made the big ram, right? And he said originally the ram had balls,
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I don't know, they had to move it because something changed or whatever. It's a new building was getting built and they moved it. And in the process, somebody took the balls.
Yeah.
So no one knows where the balls are, but he said they were definitely made. The ram had balls once upon a time and now they're missing. No one knows where they went. No one knows who took them. They're just gone.
There was a big potato at Robertson in the Southern Highlands. I think it's gone now. The Leyland brothers had a big Ayers Rock. That was there for a while. You could see it. I think it was part of Leyland Brothers World.
Oh, so it wasn't just like a rock. It was
It was part of a theme park.
Right, okay, yeah.
And you could go inside it. There was a restaurant.
Oh, yeah. That sounds
You
familiar.
never see
Yeah.
it? Yeah. We've got the big banana. We've got the big pineapple.
Big prawn?
There's a big prawn. We love our big things.
Why?
Because we just do.
Yeah, fair enough. What are other big things that are there big things that no one talks about?
What are we missing? Is there a big thing near you? Take a photo, send it in, and tell us about it.
Yeah, and also, what's the best prank you've played on someone before? Because the chicken prank is probably up there with one of the best.
I do love the big chicken prank. So let's hear what you had to say. Got a message here from Checkers,
I think. I don't know.
Hi, Luke. Just thought I'd throw my 2 bobs worth in about self-serve checkout at the supermarkets. I worked for one of the big 2 for 28 years and saw so many changes that cut wages but also increased productivity. Whenever that happened, teams were redeployed into other areas of the business that required it. The major new boom sector of retail that was on its way and got accelerated due to COVID was the online sector. As business evolves, it's natural to invent your business, no matter how small or large. It's the way of the world, but until it becomes fully automated, there will always be plenty of work for supermarket employees. Well, I hope they don't replace jobs, and I hope AI doesn't. But you're right. Down in the aisles of Coles, you see people with their little trolleys getting items off on their computer. That's for home delivery.
Yeah. I saw the other day, it might have actually been in that self-serve, what are they calling it? A service centre, the 7-Eleven. They are now having like automatic Boost Juice machines. So you pick up this cup, put it in this little nifty thing, and then it goes, and then a Boost Juice is there. So Boost Juice is hopping on the automatic train as well. And I've got to say, Luke, I would definitely try that. I do love a Boost Juice.
Because remember we were talking about the 7-Eleven vending machine in Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a part of that, but it was at some type of service station.
There you are. Is your job being automated? Has your job changed? Has it changed since COVID?
If only I could automate you. That would be easy.
Got an email from Grumpy Smurf. Luke, love the podcast. That Fergo is an absolute legend. He is too, 14-year-old Fergo.
Correct.
Just remember, the one thing that unites all people, regardless of race, colour, gender or religious beliefs, is that they all think they're above average drivers.
That's true.
It is true. Everyone's a shit driver out there except for you and me, Kelsey, and I'm really worried about you.
Hey.
Got an email from Dean. Hey, Luke and Kelsey, talking about injuries when I was a kid, about 5. I was climbing up the wardrobe, which had a TV sitting on the top, one of the old square box TVs. Well, the wardrobe came back, TV slid off, and the corner landed on my second toe. My mum came in and said, serve you right, but I kept screaming. That sounds like your mum.
It does.
I kept screaming. She returned, saw the blood, off to hospital. Doctors tried to stitch it up. After a week of dressing changes in hospital, I was told to let it go and see what happens.
No!
About 2 weeks later, I was out with my elder sister and kept complaining. I had a rock in my shoe.
No.
Took my shoe off and my toe fell into her hand.
Oh, my God.
It never grew back.
That is a nightmare.
How good
Scroll
is
down,
that?
scroll down.
Oh, no.
There's a photo.
The toe,
It's a toe stub.
gone.
It's a toe stub.
Oh.
That is... I mean...
That's the ugliest foot I've ever seen.
It's not the prettiest foot.
It's a shit foot.
Especially with the missing toe. But Dean, have you lost your balance? Like, does it affect your balance? Because people say your toes are really important for
especially
that.
the big one.
Lucky it wasn't the big one.
What's our little finger for? What's the pinky for? What does it do?
When you say you get a little dick because you're driving too fast.
But does it have any other purpose?
That's honestly the only time I use my pinky is when someone's zooming past me.
Do you do that?
Oh, absolutely.
It's episode 75. Please continue to keep us in mind. Leave us a voice message, 0291289311. Shane, Adam-Bassett, Mr. Entertainment's coming up. Time to talk entertainment, movies, what's streaming, what to watch, what to avoid. Our expert is Shane Adam-Bassett. We missed out on seeing you by this much. You were interstate and flew back just a little bit later than we could stay up there for, but next time.
Yeah, I know. I was around at the cricket, but that only went for 2 days. So, you just missed me, but
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Still stayed on, but I really want to catch up with you, Luke. Hopefully with you and Nikki sometime before Christmas. It seems to be we just can't align anything at this point.
That's okay, but let's align today here on the podcast because there's plenty to talk about. And a couple of podcasts ago, you and I said we should briefly look at movies and TV shows that you can't just watch anymore, or movies and TV shows that have been altered to fit in with cancel culture. And there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
Plenty of them. And before we jump into it, I was watching an Inside Crime episode recently.
Righto, yeah.
And they went back on Bill Cosby. Now, Bill Cosby was known as America's father. And he became very popular in the 50s and 60s with his stand-up comedy. And, you know, he invented the Bill Cosby Show and Fat Albert, and probably best known for the show named after him, The Cosby Show, where he played a doctor called Cliff Huxtable. And he was, as I say, known as America's dad. And he was the pin-up actor for Black Americans who, for the first time, I mean, you had different strokes. And, of course, Eddie Murphy was coming along. Michael Jackson was huge.
Richard Pryor.
But Bill Cosby was playing a doctor. From memory, he was not a gynecologist, which is scary, but he delivered babies, and his office was in his basement. But
oh, really? I never watched this show.
Okay, well, you've got to. Well, I don't think you can get hold of it anymore. He had an outstanding cast. He was the father to these children. He had one son, but a beautiful little girl, Rudy. His wife was a professional in the TV show. She was a successful lawyer. He is a doctor, and so he took Black American actors to that professional level of respectability, and he was full of great fatherly advice, lots of fun with his kids, and him being the greatest dad in the world, and all of that.
Unbelievable.
But behind the scenes of all of that was a very dark man. And I don't mean that by the colour of his skin.
No.
I mean that he's now in jail for he was accused of rape, drug-facilitated sexual assault, sexual battery, child sexual abuse, sexual harassment. And a lot of the complainants, by the time they made official complaints, the statute of limitations had gone except for one.
Yeah.
So he was sued civilly. But he was sued in a criminal court and the first case was thrown out. He was taken back to court where he was found guilty, and I think he was sentenced to 3 10-year terms and was given a huge fine. But what we found out was that the way he went about this almost exclusively was, one, using his power and money and influence on young impressionable girls who wanted to get into show business.
Yeah.
But he would drug them and he made them drink a cocktail that basically knocked them out.
Yeah.
And he was found guilty of raping them whilst they were knocked out.
Mm.
Now, the reason I bring it up now is you cannot find The Cosby Show. I doubt you'll find it because it's just been cancelled everywhere.
I wouldn't want to watch it, Luke, but I'm sure if you went and found like DVDs of it somewhere or someone selling DVDs, that's the only way you'd be able to watch it, I'd say.
Well, when you watch it, it is a story of a wonderful family with this great father and role model.
Right.
But his MO was to drug these girls, and nearly 100 have come forward and said I was sexually abused after being drugged by Bill Cosby. But I found this piece and I just wanted to share it with you. And it's from it's now called the Bill Cosby Barbecue Sauce episode. Now, I remember watching this.
Oh, really?
Well, everyone watched the show. Everyone watched the show.
Oh, I know it was huge and it won Emmy Awards and everything.
Oh, he's had degrees and honorary degrees at universities. They've all been taken away from him now. But anyway, so the scene, I just wanted you and the listeners to hear this because when I heard it, I got the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And I, at the time, remember the episode. So the Huxtable family are hosting an outside barbecue, a cookout.
Okay. A cookout. I've heard that word for a while.
Well, that's what they call it. And everybody was in love with his special recipe barbecue sauce. So when you watch it, you don't think anything of it. But now, knowing what we know, now maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't think I am. I think he was, because he had a lot of creative control on the show. He was the executive producer and a lot of the storylines were his.
Sure, yeah.
So I just want our listeners to listen to this in context, knowing what we now know about Bill Cosby, and let's just have a listen, or for those who can, let's watch what's now become the infamous Bill Cosby, The Cosby Show's barbecue sauce scene. Have a listen to this.
Well, it certainly is nice to see them work things out for themselves.
They haven't worked anything out for themselves. It's my barbecue sauce.
Your barbecue sauce.
My barbecue sauce. Haven't you ever noticed after people have some of my barbecue sauce, after a while when it kicks in, they get all huggy-buggy?
Oh, stop.
I'm dead serious. Haven't you ever noticed that after one of my barbecues and they have the sauce, people want to get right home? Let me tell you something else. I got a cup of it up on the night table and I got a cup of it, I said. Left it up there breathing. Why don't you give the chicken to these people that's going up and have some sauce?
So, Shane, now that you've heard that, and you know all the background to Bill Cosby, what did you make of that audio?
Well, I didn't want to listen to it, but I wouldn't tell you that. However, I did, and it just really upset me and really annoying and obviously so clear, isn't it, when you think of the double meaning that it has. It's awful. It's really awful.
Do you think he was, in a way, bragging? Was it his arrogant way of telling the world what he was up to? What do you make of that?
Look,
I'm not a psychologist and neither are you, but what do you make of it?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that maybe no one knew about but himself. But if he could throw in those little things, maybe they're a nod to his accomplishments or something. I don't know. I really don't want to get into his mind frame. But, he knew what he was doing, I think. And the funny thing is, long before he got outed, and I'd only seen Bill Cosby in a few movies. Yeah. And of course, his daughter, his daughter in the Cosby Show, Lisa Bonet, she was in lots of movies too. Two things here I want to mention is Lisa Bonet went out of the show to be in a movie called Angel Heart in the late 80s. And that had a lot of graphic sex in it. It was an R-rated, got an X rating in some places in the world. And he was against her going and, you can't do that. It's going to brandish the show. But she did it anyway. And it was a big movie with Mickey Rourke and Robert De Niro, Angel Heart. But it was so out of what she came from on the show. Yeah. But then you think about it, that was Cosby was doing stuff like that in real life. Honestly. And I read a biography and I should have done my research. I can't remember. I read it years ago, a biography of a fashion model, a really high up fashion model of the time from the 70s and the 80s. And she just made a passing remark in one of her chapters about being at Cosby's house and not wanting to drink any of his made drinks because she'd heard rumors about him. And that was way back in the 80s or something, or in the 70s and stuff. So it was obviously a little bit well known, a little bit like Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
A unspoken but known thing. But yeah, back to that audio. I won't be listening to that ever again, but I appreciate you playing it.
It's just so amazing. It's so awful. And I'm trying not to listen to it through cancel culture goggles, but you can't.
Of course.
But you can't. Anyway.
No, you can't. And you remembered the show. You watched the show and remembered it, in real time.
It was wonderful. It was a wonderful show. And I loved the Fat Albert stories and the stand-up comedy with Bill Cosby talking about his brother Russell and growing up in the projects of Philadelphia. And it was great stand-up with no bad language and just a reflection on his family. And I used to play it on the radio all the time. Everyone loved it. And now, God, Stripey Pig. So let's talk about other cancel-cultured programs. And I know that you wanted to talk about Pretty Woman.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly cancelled, but Pretty Woman, the concept of a prostitute with a heart of gold being taken away and swept off her dreams with a happy ending is not looked upon very happily anymore. I mean, to me, that is pretty minor, but people now are offended at sex workers getting swept off their feet and taken away to a real life, whereas I can see from their point of view that probably rarely ever happens, and it's a fantasy movie anyway. It's a romance film. I mean, I can't see the problem with it. Cruising is something I watched recently with Al Pacino.
Yep.
Cruising is a 1980 Al Pacino movie where he goes undercover in the gay district of New York because there's a serial killer. And there was picketing and all sorts of things apparently out the front of the cinemas protesting towards that film when it was released. I watched it recently and it holds up to a point, but it's an awkward, hard film to watch because of the language and the depiction of how gay men are looked at. And there are some photography and filming in the film where they're actually in nightclubs, filming what goes on in these clubs, and it's pretty outrageous what happens. But it's part of the movie. It'll never get made today. Porky's, do you remember Porky's?
Tell me about Porky's.
Porky's was a Canadian comedy, and there was one particular scene in it where the guys are looking through a peephole in the shower, and then one of them puts their thing in the hole and it gets pulled, and it's all done for comedy, and there's also a racist element to it with the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, it was a huge hit in 1982, and still to this day people quote it. Yeah, it is a movie that would never, ever get made today. There's 16 Candles I was going to mention as well, which is a wholesome PG Molly Ringwald movie from the early 80s.
Breakfast Club.
Anthony Michael. Yeah, The Breakfast Club. Same director. But there is a scene in it where a guy's taking a girl home and she's passed out, and he has the opportunity to sleep with her, and he does. Now, it's off screen, but it's implied, and and there's also an Asian character in it that is very a stereotypical Asian, very similar to maybe Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's a role that would never be done now, but there's an Asian character in 16 Candles called Long Duck Dong. And I mean, it's all done for comedy, but he is actually, it wouldn't happen now because there's a lot of racist kind of jokes in it. And that's 16 Candles, which is a teen classic.
Yeah. Tell me, am I allowed to enjoy anything with Kevin Spacey in it anymore? Because he's a fantastic actor and a wonderful singer. Beyond the Sea, remember that?
Bobby Darin. He played Bobby Darin.
He plays Bobby Darin. He actually is the singer in that movie. It's actually Kevin Spacey singing. And his impersonation. Am I allowed to enjoy Kevin Spacey anymore? Give me some background.
Just on that, Kevin Spacey is actually singing in Russia to make ends meet at the moment because he's been cancelled. He's actually singing on stage apparently. He's got a stage show. No one wants to employ him anymore. You can still enjoy these movies now. I look at it like this. There are other actors like Woody Allen and Jeffrey Rush and even Tom Cruise to some extent, what he's like off screen with his Scientology. However, Kevin Spacey, he never came out and never got guilty. He never got guilty in the courts, but he was accused of many, many different things with other young men. I feel funny about recommending movies that have him in it, Luke. I mean, The Usual Suspects and K-Pax and Seven. And I mean, the guy's an Oscar winner from American Beauty, which is another controversial movie in itself. But you can enjoy the movies, but what I do is separate the actor from their history or their past. I mean, every second movie from the 80s and the 90s was produced by Harvey Weinstein. I'm not going to not watch them. I don't agree with what happened, and I'm glad that they've been locked away or been accused if they are guilty.
It's funny you should say that because I love Quentin Tarantino movies, and they're all Weinstein movies. And when I see his name on the credits as executive producer, I go, oh shit, that's right, I forgot. Yeah, but I still enjoy all the Tarantino movies. So what do I do?
Tarantino was one famous director that he worked with on a regular basis that never said anything. And he was interviewed later and they knew those stories and knew what was going on. But again, unspoken, but people knew it was happening. I don't like that. Now more people speak up with the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, which is just so good. I'm so glad times have changed, but not completely. I'm sure it still goes on, the casting couch. All that stuff, but probably not as much.
Woody Allen, another one. When we all found out that he not only had an affair, but he ended up marrying his adopted daughter, I thought, what the hell? I can't watch Woody Allen.
Well, I can because I think, some of his movies are funny, but I don't agree with all that's gone on. And it's still to this day. I mean, poor Mia Farrow, she was his wife at the time when they adopted Soon Yi was her name. And they're still together, Soon Yi and Woody, and Woody's kind of stopped making movies these days. He doesn't do as many. He used to crank out one a year. He made that many. But, Jeffrey Rush is another one, great Australian actor, but he's unfortunately, he can't get anything at the moment because he was accused of doing something with some colleague in a stage play, which went to trial, and over a long period of time, he's no more as well. You don't see Jeffrey Rush anymore.
Unbelievable. If you can think of a movie or a television show that you can't watch anymore because of Me Too and the cancel movement. What is it? Let us know. 0291289311 or Luke Boner, that radio guy at gmail.com. Now,
I'll say one quick thing to you, Luke, about that too. Some of the streaming services actually change movies to make them politically correct, even though we wouldn't be offended. Disney Plus, the movie Splash. Daryl Hannah is a mermaid.
Tom Hanks.
She's naked. She's naked. She's swimming around naked. They've covered her butt. Now, you cannot see her butt. They've covered it in long hair. So you do not see any bare bum in Splash. And another one, Home Alone 2. There's a cameo from Donald Trump in that movie where he sees Macaulay Culkin's character and they talk. That has been completely taken out of the movie. There's no Donald Trump anymore.
Oh, wow.
That's just one of many. There are so many movies that have been altered. Crocodile Dundee just had a politically correct version come out of it without the gay at a party that he talks to and he grabs them on the Jats crackers. That has been completely cut out now. It's happening all the time. Movies are being altered. So if you don't have the original copy on Blu-ray or DVD or something somewhere at home, you might not never see it again.
I think of Daryl Hannah in Splash.
Beautiful.
Oh, And then I go and think, if only we knew way down the track she was going to be wearing an eye patch in Kill Bill and become...
There's Tarantino again.
And there's Tarantino again.
Oh, I love Daryl Hannah. She's amazing, really good. Blade Runner, she was in that too.
Amazing, isn't it? If you can add to the list, tell us why, though. Tell us why, and we'll talk about it. Hey, listen, when Russell Crowe made that fantastic eulogy at John Laws's funeral, he did put in a plug, and it was a shameless plug, and he admitted that. he was talking about a movie that was coming up, and it's out now in cinemas, called Nuremberg. Now, before you go into it, let's have a little listen. So, Shane Adam-Bassett, we know it's a war-based drama, and it's surrounding the courtroom hearing of Hermann Goering, Hitler's assistant. And this was at the Nuremberg trials. Take us through it.
Yeah, the right-hand man for Hitler was this guy, and he's taken to court. It was done in a mini-series quite some time ago, but now they've revived it. Russell Crowe is the lead here. He's put on a lot of weight. And, you know, Rusty, he loves to toot his own horn and promote his movies, obviously, wherever he is, and it needs a lot of promotion, I've got to say, Luke. I don't know. It's not a bad movie. I'm not writing it off, but it is so slow. It needed a lot. It's almost like filming a stage play at times. Rami Malek, who plays the young psychiatrist, sort of lawyer guy, he's terrific in it. Russell Crowe is amazing in it. He's such a big presence on screen, but it drags on way too long. And it's nothing that you haven't seen before when it comes, if you're a World War fan of movies and history in general, it's well done, but it's not going to win any awards. I think it was made with the intent of maybe being there at Oscar time. Sorry, Rusty. As much as I love you, mate, you're not going to get nominated for this one.
How many stars?
I didn't fall asleep, but it was dragging. I'm going to say 2.
2 stars. Rami Malek, he was Freddie Mercury, wasn't he?
He was Freddie Mercury, yeah.
He's amazing.
Oh, he's good in this. And so is Michael Shannon, another really good actor. There's a good cast in it, but it's filmed like a stage play. It comes across with dialogue like a stage play, and there's nothing happening. And the tension from the courtroom scenes don't quite hit that mark that, you know, should in a courtroom scene, right? When they deliver the verdict or the lawyer points at the main actor and stuff. You know, there's a lot of arguing, but it's no Jack Nicholson in, you know, A Few Good Men. That's for sure.
Okay. Let's move on. Now, I loved the first 2 Knives Out movies with Daniel Craig. I really enjoyed. I think I did. I love the first. Did I see the second? I think I liked it. Anyway, Daniel Craig returns. Yes. It's Knives Out 3. Let's have a listen.
You're the only one on stage with the Monsignor at the time of his killing. You're the only one at that church who hated his guts.
Okay, you didn't like the second one?
Not as much as the first, because the first one hit such a high mark and it was beautifully filmed. It was funny. It had Christopher Plummer in it, one of his last roles. And Daniel Craig was known as James Bond then. He was still playing Bond. And he did this completely different role with this really weird accent, and he was going around solving the murder. And just when you thought he'd solved the crime, there was another clue and something else would happen. Yeah. So Knives Out, loved it. It's a 9 out of 10 movie. Then The Glass Onion was Knives Out 2. And it was okay. It sort of lost it a bit. It went into more slapstick and it didn't work. Still a good cast. And this one is really back to that level of that top-notch first movie. Wake Up Dead Man has Glenn Close in it, Josh Brolin. Oh, so many great actors, too many to name. But, yeah, Detective Blanc, with his unusual accent, is back at it. It's trying to solve a murder. As I said, one thing leads to another, and you think he's got it solved, and then he discovers another clue, and it moves on. And it's over 2 hours long. You wouldn't know it. It's as opposite to Nuremberg. Nuremberg just dragged and dragged, whereas Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man just moves along fast. It's funny and some cameos in it. Must-see movie. I don't want to give too many spoilers away.
Okay, Knives Out 3. It's called Wake Up Dead Man. Daniel Craig is back. How many stars?
4.
Wow.
Yeah, loved it. You've got to get on it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Now, those 2 are in cinemas. The next one's on Netflix. And you love this. You texted me the other day and said you really enjoyed it. It's called The Beast in Me. I've never heard of it. Take me through it.
Well, it's a series. It's a brand new series starring Claire Danes. Now, Claire Danes is close to my heart because she plays Juliet in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio.
All right. Before we go into the deep dive, let's have a listen.
Why are you here?
Did you kill her?
What do you think?
Niall Jarvis moved in down the street from me. Maybe my next book should be about him.
Okay.
Sorry, I was jumping the gun because I really do enjoy this show. It has Claire Danes starring as an author. She's got writer's block. She's dealing with a loss. She's lost her son. She wants to be left alone in a huge house. Just take time out. But all of a sudden, a new neighbor moves in next door, and he's noisy. His dogs get out. His alarm goes off. His cars are revving, and she just can't handle it anymore. Her quietness has stopped. So she goes over and confronts him, but then all of a sudden, he and her click. Now, he's this huge businessman. He's got a dodgy past. He's real estate. He's just got some things happening here. And what she doesn't know yet is the FBI are actually watching him. But they connect, and she gets embroiled in a few things he's doing, and I'll leave it at that. It's really, really good. It's one of those ones where that can't happen, can it? And then the next episode, oh, that doesn't happen, does it? You just got to keep watching. Poor Claire Danes she knows she shouldn't be associated with this guy, but she can't help being sucked in. Watch it. It's really good. The Beast in Me.
Okay, The Beast in Me. Now, the Minister for War and Finance has discovered Fargo.
Oh, what a show.
Well, I started watching one, and I started to fade because I wake up so bloody early. I go to bed very early. She's right into it. Right into it. Is Fargo. Now, there's different episodes, different stories, but I was led to believe when I watched, and she was really pissed off with me because she's 3/4 of the way through the first one.
Yeah.
And I've sat down next to her, and I said, "What are you watching?" She said, "Fargo." I said, "What's it about?" She said, "Oh, Christ, I can't. I'll go back to the beginning for you." So she takes it back to the beginning, and then I fell asleep. So I wasn't popular, but I was led to believe it's based on a true story. What is Fargo? Take me through it because she really loves it.
Luke, you fell asleep in Fargo. I'm very, very shocked.
It was the first one.
Not. Now, Fargo has actually started off as a movie. An Oscar-winning movie with William H. Macy, among others. That was a really good movie. And ironically, it's not actually based on a true story at all.
Okay.
It says it at the start.
Yes.
But the Coen brothers has put that at the movie because no, it is not a true story. But they've said, this is all based on a true story. The names have been changed. So people think it's a true story. It's ironic. And then the show came out maybe 6 or 7 years later because the movie Fargo was 1996. That's how long that's been around. And the series is an anthology. So you can watch any series of Fargo, and basically to start from the beginning, you don't need to catch up from previous seasons. Are you watching the one with Billy Bob Thornton?
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. That is season 1, which is great. And I'm surprised you fell asleep. Although I'm being ironic now because I know what you're like.
Yeah.
It's good. It's an anthology, and you can never guess what's going to happen next. They're all about murders in Minnesota where the people are a little bit different. It's always very cold, and there's a lot of cover-ups and things going on behind closed doors that you don't know until you enter. And they really can be graphic at times. I love Fargo. The season I liked is the most recent season with John Hamm. So if you get to that one, you'll like it. Chris Rock was in one, and Billy Bob Thornton was in the first season. Angus Sampson, the Australian Angus Sampson, turns up in, I think, season 2. Must see TV. I really like Fargo.
Okay.
It's hard to describe, though, because they're different stories.
Yeah, I know.
They're always about murder.
All right.
And it's often a very quiet person who gets sucked into different things, a little bit like the Beast in Me. So I do recommend Fargo, and your other half, the beautiful Nikki, is on the money.
Okay, Fargo. Yeah, she does love it. Now, I often, at the end of the day, after talking to politicians and people like yourself and all of that, sometimes I just like something I don't have to think about too much just to switch off. You with me?
Yeah. Oh, totally. I'm like that all the time too.
So I discovered by accident, and I'm one of the last people to have heard about it again,
Right.
It's a sitcom. Well, it's kind of a sitcom. It's really light. You don't have to stretch your brain about it, but I love the characters, I love the actors, and I'm really enjoying it as a switch-off funny thing. And it's on Netflix, and it's called Ghosts, about a young couple from Manhattan. They inherit a rundown mansion. It's a mansion, a manor.
And it's inhabited by ghosts, I bet.
And it's inhabited by ghosts. Now, because of something that happens, the girl, Sam is her name, she's a freelance journalist. Her husband is a chef, and they're a young couple, and they want to turn this huge manor into a B&B.
Yeah.
But something happens. All right, quick pit stop, folks. Let's talk holidays. Now, be honest. The road in front of you, the treadmill under your feet, all that pile of dishes in the sink, it's getting old. Now, picture this. Swapping the dish soap for an icy Bingtang. Imagine the endless stretch of highway turning into a stretch of white, sandy beach. Or that treadmill. Suddenly, it's the climb to Machu Picchu. Now, that's the feeling Nature Bee wants to give you with their bucket list competition. A chance to win $20,000 worth of travel anywhere you choose. And if your dream trip costs less, well, the rest is yours, the spending money. You keep the change. Plus, there are plenty of little wins too. Gift vouchers to turn a long weekend into something special. And Nature Bee prize packs to give your insides the reset of a yoga retreat. All you need to do is spend $79.90 or more on Nature Bee products and you are automatically in the draw. So if you've ever thought of trying Power Pollen, this is the time to do it. Hit the link in the show notes or head to naturebee.com. Read the T's and C's, and who knows, next time you're listening to Bonafide, you could be listening to us from the beach. And only she can see these ghosts. And they have all, over a long period of time, hundreds of years, have died at this property. And they can't leave it. They get to the gate and...
Yeah, they accumulate at that one place.
Yeah. And they've all got an issue that they have to resolve before they can go up. Or as they call it in the sitcom, sucked off, right?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, and there's a couple of references there. Oh, what happened to him?
Of course.
Yeah, he hasn't been sucked off yet. But they want to go up. They call it sucked off, right?
Right.
But anyway, that's probably the only vulgar thing in it. It's really fun. It is so unbelievable, but all the characters, all these ghosts are really great characters with an amazing story. And this young couple are adorable, and I'm just enjoying it. It's called Ghosts, and it's on Netflix.
Okay. I've heard of it, not seen it, but that concept sounds very cool. I mean, I love movies where like individuals can connect with a ghost from the past. Robert Downey Jr. did it with a group of ghosts in Heart and Souls. And there was a really good movie called Just Like Heaven with Reese Witherspoon, where she rents this apartment and the person who used to live in the apartment died in the apartment and he's there. They kind of fall in love as well.
Yeah.
Not quite like, yeah, and that's good too. Just Like Heaven, not like Ghosts, which is Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg. That's different again.
And Whoopi Goldberg.
Demi Moore. But yeah, no, I have to watch that show. If I can put it on my list, I've got a bit of a list happening at the moment, though.
Yeah, of course you do. Look, just before we go, Variety magazine has listed its 100 best comedy movies of all time. And I cannot believe that Naked Gun is number one. I love Naked Gun. I thought it was great. I thought Flying High was unbelievable when I first saw it. Saw it in the drive-in, by the way, and young, because we didn't have a theatre. To me, Life of Brian. But anyway, take us through their top five, because we haven't got time to do 100.
Oh, I can't remember exactly their top five, but I will say Naked Gun's caused a bit of controversy, but it's so subjective, Luke. It's comedy. I'm at my harshest when I review comedy. I'm at my harshest always. And what's funny to someone isn't funny to others. It is a list of 100 movies that doesn't have one Australian movie on it. There's no Muriel's Wedding. There's no Crocodile Dundee. And you've got Caddyshack in there, and you've got movies that I love, but there's movies that I love like Clue that aren't on the list. But, it's an interesting list. I'd like anyone to maybe check it out online. The Variety magazine have it there and see what you think, because they've missed out on some classics.
So Bridget Jones' Diary was number 100. But shall we go through quickly the top 10?
Yeah, you tell me what they are. Remind me.
10, Groundhog Day, Bill Murray.
Agreed.
9, Young Frankenstein.
It is a good Mel Brooks movie, yes.
Yeah. Number 8, Fargo the movie, 1996.
It's not a comedy. It has comedy elements, but I don't think it should be on the list.
7, Duck Soup, 1933, the Marx Brothers.
Never seen it. 6,
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, 1975.
Well, I like Life of Brian better.
Number 5, Waiting for Guffman, 1996.
Agreed. That's good.
Number 4, The Great Dictator, 1940, Charlie Chaplin. Wow, that's not comedy?
No, it's another one that shouldn't be on the list.
Number 3, here we go. You ready? Annie Hall, Woody Allen.
The late, great Diane Keaton.
She won an Oscar.
Won her Oscar.
Yeah. Number 2, I wouldn't say this is the second funniest movie at all. Some Like It Hot, 1959. Jack Lemmon.
Overrated. Totally overrated.
Billy Wilder directed it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, not one of my favourite Marilyn Monroe movies, and not one of my favourite comedies, that is for sure.
And here we are again, number 1, The Naked Gun, 1988. Well, there you go. That's Variety Magazine's Top 100. Well, I gave you 11. I gave you 10 through 1 and then number 100.
And can I just say quickly, on the list, Richard Pryor, Live at the Sunset Strip, and Eddie Murphy, Raw. Now, they're 2 stage shows, stand-up comedy specials. They're not even movies, but they've added them to the list. Okay. I don't understand that.
Okay, I think Delirious, Eddie Murphy.
I like that too, but I don't think it's a movie. It shouldn't be on the list. It's a stand-up comedy special.
But it opened at theatres.
I know, but traditionally it's not a movie.
Okay. Well, if it's shown in a movie theatre, it's a movie.
It's not.
What's the definition of a movie?
I've seen a Metallica concert at the movies that was projected on the big screen. Does that mean it's a movie? No. Sorry, Luke, we can argue on this because I know we'll probably argue in a couple of weeks about Die Hard as well, being a Christmas movie.
It's not a Christmas movie.
No, it's not a movie. It's not made to be a movie. No, it's a stand-up comedy special, Delirious. And so was Live on the Sunset Strip. So was Raw. No, they're not movies, even though you saw them at the movies.
Last question. Is Home Alone a Christmas movie?
Yes. 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 Even more so than Die Hard. Die Hard didn't start off as a Christmas movie, but I can give you a checklist of about 10 different things that make it a Christmas movie. However, Home Alone and Home Alone 2 are definitely Christmas movies. Yes. They rely on Christmas for the whole plot line, basically.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Shane Adam-Bassett, thank you so much. We've run out of time. We'll talk again down the track, okay?
Before Christmas, so we can talk Christmas movies and other things.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks for having me, Luke.
Up next, you're going to meet a listener that contacted us. His name is Matt. Wait until you hear this story. It's about the way he went about navigating the family courts. This is unbelievable.
Bonafide and busted, but you legends stick around. Luke's chilly meltdowns and his bulletproof head sound. Rod's yelling about green reflectors, Bill's digging up the dead. And thank fuck for this mad mob who listen instead. And then Granny Sue calls in, laughing down the line, gives Luke a serve.
Last week, we got an email from a listener named Matt, who's based in Brisbane. Now, Matt's a truckie who's been through the family court system himself. And he wrote in after hearing us talk about how broken this system can be, especially when false accusations are being thrown around. Now, Matt shared that during his own separation, he was accused of things he'd never done, let alone heard of. And his ex was encouraged to take out a DVO that never had any grounds, according to Matt, and according to the courts, because it was thrown out. His solicitor told him this kind of tactic is common and that alone has left him shaken. Now, Matt is also a bit of a poet. We'll get to that later. But I wanted Matt to tell this story in his own words. He's driving as we speak. He's on his way to Gladstone. So if you can bear with the truck noise, so it's all very authentic, he joins us on the Bonafide podcast right now. Matty, g'day.
G'day, Luke. G'day, Kels.
She's saying hello, mate. She's busy producing in the background. Matt, you just heard my introduction to you, and I've heard this story many times, especially when I was doing the Triple M network program, and a lot of blokes would ring up saying that they were utterly confused and had their lives broken because of a similar situation. And in fact, one bloke who rang me said it was absolutely proven in court that his ex was lying and had set him up and had coached his daughter to say terrible, terrible things about him. The ex-wife, in court, under oath, lied. It was proven. But she wasn't charged with perjury. Now, I went on to talk to Senator Pauline Hanson, who was having a similar drama with her son, and she confirmed to me back then that lying under oath in the family law court isn't perjury. Why? I have no idea. So, Matt, you're not alone with this. Can you now, in your words, and as I said, I understand you're driving, can you take us through what happened without naming any names?
When she walked out on me, I was basically carer for her, carer for my kids. I had the license. So I had to do the school runs. I had to do all of that stuff. So I was a walking zombie. I was 3 parts dead. I got free legal advice because I had no money. Now, that free legal advice turned out to be absolutely terrible. And while I was out of work, I'd made some contacts. I tried to start a business, and through that, one of these contacts put me onto a Christian lawyer who I reached out to. She tells me, what advice have you got? And I said, look, I was told to download these 4 forms. He said, what idiot told you that? Which put me on the back foot. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is the free legal advice for men.
Mm-hmm.
So she gives me these forms to fill out in the federal court, not the family court.
Right.
And I'm sort of going, well, I thought that was a distinction without a difference, but apparently it is different. So I fill these forms out. Now, we were going for a recovery order. In the midst of all this, cops show up on my doorstep and serve me with a DVO. And I'm my head's spinning because I'm going, police have never been involved. We've never, violence didn't even enter my head. When I started dating my high school sweetheart, my old man pulled me aside to give me the talk. I think I was 15 or something. And out of everything he said to me that day, the only thing that stuck with me was, if I ever find out you've gone the knuckle on a woman, I'll put you on your ass myself and disown you.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really drilled into me the importance of being the provider and protector. So, there'd never been, we'd raised our voice at each other. We'd been, I looked after the finances. It's just the way it was. Most marriages, one partner looks after the finances usually.
Yeah.
And if she'd been able to look after them, I would quite happily have handballed them. So when I get this DVO, I'm going through, and probably the 3 things I remember, Luke, because I believe in corporal punishment, a smack on the bum, smack on the back of the hand for the kids, I was an abusive father.
Mm-hmm.
Because I looked after the finances, I was accused of financial abuse. Then I was also accused of gaslighting, which I didn't even know what it was. I had to look that up, and I think there was 1 or 2 other things on there I had to look up. I had no idea what they were, so my head was just spinning. I'm sitting there looking all this stuff up, going, well, what the hell is this? And half the stuff she'd accused me of, she was guilty of. So, not that I wasn't, we were sort of, we were both as guilty as each other in some of the things, but, we were loud. We weren't verbally abusive. You know what I mean? Our arguments were loud. My solicitor sort of sits down and goes through everything for the DVO, which I didn't have. I got legal aid funding for the family stuff, but I didn't have it for the DVO. And I said, and she wanted this for the family court anyway, or for the federal court anyway. But she started asking me all these questions and, about me. Have you ever hit her? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? And I said, well, no. And everything I just said to you, we were loud but not abusive. And And I said, well, she was found guilty of neglect by docs. And my lawyer turned around and said, all the courts care about is how the kids have been looked after post-separation. I said, so why asking about my past? She said, everything you've done's on the table. And I just sat there going, are you kidding me? Like, her past means nothing, but my past means everything.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The whole thing, Luke, I walked in, I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm nearly 2 foot across the shoulders. I've got a razor shaved head, goatee. I'm, missing a few teeth. I look like Shrek's Australian cousin. I get that. I'm, not the friendliest looking guy in the world. I walked into court. I didn't have a suit. I wore the best clothes I had. And Luke, before anything had been even said, the judge was looking at me like, oh, here we go, another thug, another deadbeat dad, another. And, 5 minutes into, she appeared by phone. That's a story in and of itself out of what happened in the magistrate's court, because it was on the same day. And within 5 minutes of my ex speaking, the judge started to say, I'm considering ordering these children back to Brisbane. And I'm sitting there. He said it 7 times and never did it. My youngest daughter, special needs, she had medical appointments that she'd been ripped out of. Kids obviously ripped out of school, and it was just, I'm sitting there going, do it, just order them back. If I'd thought of it at the time, I would have actually said to my solicitor, look, tell her to move back into the house and I'll go move in with a mate until we get this sorted, because I just wanted the kids back in their lives, like back in their sort of old lives and all the rest of it. I'm trying to keep this as short as I can for you, Luke, because I still get a bit emotional with it.
Sure. No, take your time.
The whole thing is dehumanising. It's the only way I can put it. It is dehumanising. And that's before I get to child support. One of the other incidents, Luke, the courts will assign a children's lawyer, an independent children's lawyer. There was a meeting before one of the hearings, and it was between the children's lawyer, me, and my ex-Max was appearing by phone. So I go to walk in the room, and the children's lawyer boots me out. And I said, excuse me? He said, well, your barrister's here. You don't need to be here. And I'm sort of, again, my head's spinning. My advice to, just quickly, if you're going through this, question everything. Question everything, because I got booted out of that meeting. When we went into the hearing, the custody arrangements had been made without my input. And then at the last second, the children's lawyer stands up and says, we request that the father spend his time with the children up in, I won't say where they went, but, in the town where my ex had run to. It was half a day's drive from Brisbane. And I'm sitting back going, really? Like, I didn't chase her off. There's no DVO. That got thrown out. That had been thrown out of court by that stage. There's absolutely no reason. She had no reason to take the kids that far away. Why am I being punished, for trying to look after my family? So when I walked out of the courtroom, Luke, and, even as a Christian, it took everything in me not to pummel the children's lawyer. Luke, I was so angry because I'm sitting there going, I didn't speak. She wouldn't let me talk to my kids for nearly 2 months. There was nothing. I just had no contact with them for nearly 2 months. Luke, my story, as hard as this sounds, my story is a spring stroll through the park compared to some of the stories I've heard from other dads. What I went through was easy compared to some of the stories I've heard. And I'm starting to get a bit emotional because the memories are coming back. And I remember when I was first allowed to actually see them, I went to my ex's house in this town. My eldest daughter took a video. You can see my younger 2 girls sort of standing behind the door, and they're giddy and they're smiling and they're just excited. And you can see me walk up the veranda, and they just about knock this sliding door off its hinges to get to me.
How often do you see him now?
In 2020, she agreed to move back to Brisbane. By the grace of God, I've got a great relationship with my girls now. My 2 older girls are adults. My youngest daughter, she's actually, not long I got off the phone to her, she's actually at mum's for a couple of days. They've just moved house again. And, I get to see them all the time now, which is good. But as you can tell, the pain's still
Yeah, very raw. The wound is still very, very raw. Your ex, did she try and poison the kids against you? Because now as adults, now as older children, they'll see through all of that. But at the time,
so my middle, not my eldest and youngest, my oldest is too much like me, and that's caused all manner of friction between her and her mother. I'm trying to convince my oldest daughter to not cut her mother off. That's how bad things have gotten.
You're a good man.
My middle daughter admitted to me recently, like only in the last couple of months, she admitted to me, she said, Dad, they did poison me against you. She said, that's why I was so standoffish when we had the family report done. And she was. The family report, and see, that's another part, Luke. They are so geared against men. I was nearly suicidal when I got the family report. It painted me as a narcissistic predator. It was just, I've still got the documents at home. I don't know why I keep them, but I do. But yeah, she was poisoned against me, and she admitted that. She knows that now. And unfortunately, Luke, they have seen through their mother, and I think that's why they're having the dramas they're having with their mum.
After all this time now, has your ex shown any remorse? Does she know she's done the wrong thing? Has she admitted it?
No. Look, her and I are friendly. Yeah, we're friendly. I wouldn't say we're friends. I probably need to, as I said in my email, Luke, there's three sides to every story. His side, her side, and the truth. The condition that my youngest daughter's got was carried down comes down my ex-wife's bloodline. Now, it's taken many, many years for me to sort of put all the pieces together and how that's affected them. But my ex and one of my other daughters, who hasn't been tested but is showing that she's got it. How it affects them, my youngest daughter hasn't grown or developed at a normal rate, but she has a sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just her body doesn't let her say and do the things that she knows she should be able to do. Whereas my ex-wife, even my ex-father-in-law, I won't say what he said because you'll get cancelled. Where they struggle is concepts. So, Luke, say you've come to my place and, hey, mate, you want a coffee? Yeah, I'll have it, white and two. So straight away we know the only thing I've had to ask you is how you have your coffee. With them, you've sort of got to explain, and it's not this simple, but this is just the example. So take the kettle out, fill it, then they might be able to jump to sort of, steps 5, then 9, then so you've sort of got to get the ball rolling for them. So I don't know whether the pennies dropped in that regard because of that condition. Plus the trauma she went through, and I'll tell you at the end off the record, I'll give you a name to Google so you'll get an idea of what she went through. She's been through severe trauma herself, but never sought help for it. And so all this combination of things has meant, she's just there's never been any contrition on her part.
Just you telling this story today, and you said you got emotional and the wound is still very, very raw, but are you okay? Where are you at now?
Mate, I've been legally homeless for 3.5 years. That was thanks partially to the divorce. I've been living with friends who I'm not actually legally supposed to be there, but I've been living there now for probably 18 months, 2 years. Ironically, I actually lived in my ex-wife's garage for about 6 months while I was sort of trying to find a place. I've got to be honest with you, mate. Without Christ, I'm dead. I'd have committed suicide. At one point, I went walking around the house when the lease ran out on my last place. Couldn't take it. And I couldn't find anywhere, and I hadn't found anywhere by the time the lease was up, and I was facing homelessness. I went looking for somewhere to sling a rope. Couldn't find anywhere that was strong enough to take my weight. So I grabbed my belt, I wrapped it around my neck, pulled it tight. Light started to go dim. I had a scotch next to me, and I said to God, it's now or never. No sooner had I said that, Luke, I hear this little voice going, where's Daddy? He keeps me going. And the relationship with my girls is proof of that. But, mate, it's a day-by-day thing. It's you get on with it. Went through a bit of a hard time 20-odd years ago. And the Holy Spirit said to me, if you walk the unknown direction, you'll find salvation. If you sit and wait for rescue, it's a slow death. That's, for God's sakes, don't take that literally bushwalking. That's a metaphor for life. But,
sure.
Sometimes you've just got to get up. Sometimes, you've got Rocky's speech. That gets, people malign that and joke about it. That is so true. It's not about how hard you hit. It's what, it's what you can take. It's what you just got. Sometimes you just got to get up. That I love those Rocky movies, Luke, because there's a scene in all of them, all bar one, I think, where Rocky's down. He's done. His opponent's standing there, and the look on their faces is done, and he gets up and he breaks them. When he gets up, he breaks them, and you can see it. It's like, hey, what have I got to do to kill this guy? Sometimes you've just got to get up. You've just got to get up. You can't. The last stanza of that poem was a gift from God, because it reminded me, Luke, that I've got other people to live for, that I've got a purpose in life.
Your faith is obviously of paramount importance to you. Have you got support from other people who share your faith?
I do, mate. I've got a church that they check on me. How you doing? How you going? It's taken me a long time to trust. I was in that church only 5 years before I started making connections. It's taken me a long time to trust.
Are you able to forgive?
That's a day-by-day thing, Luke. It is. From a Christian standpoint, we are told to forgive because Christ forgave us.
Yeah, it's hard though. Isn't it?
Well, mate, it is. But, the best description I've heard of unforgiveness, I think it was C.S. Lewis or someone like that said it. But, they said, not forgiving someone is like drinking poison expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness sets you free, not them.
Yeah.
Because forgiveness just means that you're not going to let them live rent-free in your head. You're not going to let them dictate and destroy your life. You're going to show them that, you know what, I'm going to love you anyway. Do I trust you? No. Do I like you? No. But, I'm going to show the agape love. I'm going to pour coals on your head, and I'm just going to get up and get on with it. And, and in doing so, Luke, I've seen a softening of my ex-wife. Like the orders have gone out the window. I can see my kids whenever I want. She doesn't hold strictly to the orders. It's just, she could have with child support. She could have hung me with child support. She hasn't. So there's little things like that just by swallowing it, going home and dealing with it, going, God, I forgive. I can't do this. Help me. And he does. And that's just by doing that has softened her. And it's, I firmly believe that's what's given me the relationship I've got with my kids.
What's your advice to other men listening to this now who are going through the same thing?
Question everything. If you're told to go and do a anger management course, don't argue, just do it. If you're told to do a domestic violence course, whether you've been violent or not, just do it. You need to show the courts that you are willing to do whatever they ask and expect you to do to see your kids. Don't rely on the free advice. Get advice from an actual lawyer. And again, question everything. If you get kicked out of a meeting, why? Why am I being kicked out? You ask them to show you grounds why you can't be in that meeting. You ask them to show you grounds and don't give up. And probably the biggest piece of advice, Luke, don't treat your kids like a trophy. They are not a weapon to use against your ex. One of the first things I said to my kids when I went up to see them first time was, I haven't changed. I'm still your dad. I'm not here to win a popularity contest. You do good, I'll praise you. Step out of line, I'll kick you in the rear end. It's, like I haven't changed. And then I've lived it. Don't just say it, live it. Treat them as though you are still married. Treat them as though they are still under your roof. So love them, discipline them, praise them. They're not a trophy. Put them first. If you're struggling with hope, walk into a church. I don't want to Bible bash people, but just ask the question and just see, because, you know, he's helped me. So, you know, just that would be the best advice I can give, Luke.
It's great advice. We'll keep in touch because I want to stay in touch, and I'd love to have a lengthier chat with you when we're not recording about other things. Maybe we can do that down the track.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were moved to write a poem, and you sent it in. Are you able to recite it, or at least recite some of it for us and our listeners now?
Yeah, mate, I can do it. I've got it here in front of me. So
it's called "Don't Ask Me How I Am,"
which is what made me laugh when you asked me how it was.
Well, it's hard not to. I mean, I care,
and I appreciate that, mate. It's when you've obviously read the poem. When everyone hears this poem, you'll understand why that's such a loaded question.
Off you go.
It's hard to fight the emptiness when hopelessness abounds. It's hard to fight the tears when depression does its rounds. It's hard to get up off the mat when you've lost your joy. It's hard to fight the stormy seas when you're an unhooked boy. What does the world expect of me? To take my lot in life. In silence, take my medicine, in good times and in strife. In silence, just accept the accusations full of lies, so show sympathy towards the biting viper as she cries. Accept that I'm not worthy of my child's affection, but to the apple of my eye I'm just a bad infection. But my love isn't good enough, and I act like I'm their owner. But I am not their father, I am merely the sperm donor. You think because I worked so hard and worried about the bills, was fiscally irresponsible and made sure our cupboard fills. That money was my one true love, no other could suffice. You talk about a mother's love and not my sacrifice. You didn't see those nights away when for you all I'd pine. The days I worked through shocking health and said that I was fine. I did this to provide and hoped of me you'd be proud of. To you this was abandonment and not an act of love. And now the apple of my eye is nowhere to be seen. A giant hole of darkness sits where my heart had been. I cry and yell and whimper, oh please God make it stop. But apparently this torch is something I'm just supposed to cop. And if I show emotion, well that's gross manipulation. And any facts I bring to light don't warrant investigation. But in this broken system, lies end up rewarded. An unfit mother's custody is socially applauded. This system is so broken, it is malevolent. It's the reason suicide is now so prevalent. This system takes a life, enjoy it, screams woohoo, because that means there is simply one less thing they have to do. So I'll sit here in silence and say thank you for each whack, and each day find a stake to keep the black dog off my back. Have a shot of concrete. Real men, they don't cry. That attitude is why so many men just want to die. My hope is in Jesus, but even I have been so flogged. My self-esteem and sense of worth are broken, drowned and bogged. But many men don't share my hope, no wonder they feel lost. We fight and fight and fight some more, despite the dreadful cost. But each day I'll get up and put one foot before the other. And do my best to try and be a father, son and brother. I'll do my best to smile and laugh and hide that it's a sham. This I'll do, just please, don't ever ask me how I am.
Wow. Unbelievable. Can we publish those words? Can we publish that on our...
Absolutely, mate. You know, that last stanza, Luke, that was a gift from God to say that sometimes in the midst of the battle, you've got to bury your wounds and keep going and deal with the wounds later. And which is what I'm doing. So,
like Rocky said, it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how you get up and keep moving.
Exactly right.
Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to talk to you again after a long time. I won't ask you again how you are, but sometimes we feel compelled to ask. Because, as you said, men don't like to reach out and real men don't cry.
Yeah, one of the things I find a bit comforting, Luke, I talk to men in their 20s and 30s, and you'll hear them say that they have their moments where they get emotional, and I sort of think that's actually a good thing because, I'm Gen X, we were the have a shot of concrete and harden up generation. Like it was just walk it off. Unfortunately, that's led to a hardness of heart. That's led to a callousness. That's led to, unfortunately, it took this to break me. I'm not saying you got to be a blubbering mess in public. I have my moments. Often I'll, if I'm dealing with stuff, I'll do it at night while I'm driving down the road so people can't see me crying. Or I'll do it at home. Yeah, you're not weak if you cry. You're not weak if you get upset. You're a human being. Be a human being. Even Jesus wept. So,
Matt, we'll stay in touch. I'll let you go, and we'll talk off air soon. Okay?
Yep, no worries, mate.
Martin Shaw, the president of Wounded Heroes, is coming up. My charity of choice is Wounded Heroes, and their Grand Poobah, the man in charge, is my good friend Martin Shaw. Joins me again here on the Bonafide podcast. I won't keep you long today, Martin, but g'day, welcome back.
G'day, Lukey. How are you, mate?
I'm really, really good. Look, I wanted to talk about how your coffee's going because it's the best coffee we've ever tasted. This is the Coffee for Heroes. But how is our charity going? Because I feel very strongly about it and I plug it as often as I can, and you know that. And you've got my 200% support with Wounded Heroes. And I've got a story to tell you in just a second. It was, in fact, the millennial, Kelsey, who produces this podcast. It was a collaborative thing. It was both our ideas, but I'll give her credit for it. But how are we going? How many people are Wounded Heroes looking after right now? As we speak?
As we speak, I've got 14 homeless veterans in emergency accommodation, 3 of those family domestic violence, as there is in the community, there's in the veteran community. Luke, we've exploded. Just last year, as you might remember, we looked after just over 4,200 veterans and families. As I sit here, we've crossed 4,800 already this year, 4,700, I'm sorry. And I think on the trajectory, we're going to go to 5,800. So we are completely slammed. And that's not just around financially with regards to supporting these families and veterans, providing some dignity around food, fuel and accommodation, but also trying to manage the crisis line. So that's been the hard part for me over the last probably 6 months, certainly 4 to 5 months, where I've got one crisis manager who does 38 hours a week and I'm managing the rest of it. So I'm currently advocating to government, both federal and state, to help me support that crisis line. So I've gone down the Lifeline model, which is an outside charity of government but funded by federal and part state. So it's really, really good that we're getting calls. It's really good that we can try and prevent veterans surrendering their lives by providing some dignity, but we're at bursting point when it comes to capacity and impact. So I'm obviously, as you know, always working furiously to try and solve that problem. But what we're finding now is that as our brand's improved, and courtesy of you and others, but certainly around your national reach, it certainly has seen that impact, Lukey.
I've got to tell you, the work that you do would go largely unnoticed because you don't go about making huge fanfares about what you do. And I think that's my job. And I know you are not a glory hunter. So if I feel obliged to let as many people know what you do and what the charity does. And look, please write this down if you need help, 1300 532 112. I've got to say that the lives you've saved, you don't just help those who were immediately affected by the PTSD and the AD and all the drama that goes with having served and not being quite right between the ears and struggling, but the families that you help as well. And I know that firsthand because it doesn't just stop at the returned serviceman or woman, does it?
No, of course not. No, it's really in the basic sense of, when you've got a soldier or a defence member, they're away 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the month, in operations, could be training or deployed overseas. So it's always the spouse, the family that's, the spouse particularly is keeping that family together. And, when it comes down to sort of managing not only the household the household and the kids, it's also managing the finances. So then when a member's been involuntary discharged through medical means, to come back into the family home and who's never had to worry about, paying a mortgage or paying a rent or getting the kids off to school, it's difficult. So our job is to really support that spouse and make sure that, that she can maintain what she needs to try and do whilst her husband or partner is going through discharge of defence.
I probably should have done this at the beginning of our conversation, but now's as good a time as any. Can you just encapsulate what the Wounded Heroes mission and vision is?
Look, the mission is very simple. Our charity is strictly in one lane only, and that's in the immediate support of veterans and families in crisis, in financial crisis, homeless or at risk of homelessness, and over the last 2 years more involved in family and domestic violence. Lukey, we're a national charity, unlike, say, the RSLs and Legacies. And we're 24/7, unlike those guys as well. So we stay in our lane, as you know. We don't duplicate services. So once we've got a veteran or a family member out of trouble, we then will divert them out or navigate them out to the other services that already exist in Australia that have the bigger money, but they are the bigger ship that takes a bit longer to give support to that family. So what we're doing now is just getting them out of trouble and then going to these organisations and asking them, and that's organisations which includes the Salvos, Red Cross, as well as obviously RSL and Legacies. So, well, not so much Legacies, but so really that's all we do. We just get them out of trouble. And I think then as a supporter of ours, as a patron as you are, as the public are donating their $10 to us, they want to know that we're not duplicating other services. They want to know where their $10 is going. And, I've been proud over the last 8 years of my 15 years coming up where we've got 100% of every public donation goes back to veterans and families. And I think there's not a lot of charities that can attest to that.
Yep, I agree.
We use a sustainability model around veteran centres, around op shops and cafes. We've just opened up one in Townsville, which hopefully when we get that going correctly, we're only 8 weeks old, that will actually then pretty much cover most of our administration costs. So I can go to corporates and claim that as well.
Just talking about op shops, we had a big discussion on op shops a little while ago. And some of the big op shops, and I'm talking Salvos and Vinnies, for example, who do a good job, but there's been a lot of criticism that a lot of those op shops pump up their prices depending on the postcode they're in. And also, people have been made to feel guilty about people who can afford decent clothes or whatever going to op shops. In fact, it's called op shopping.
Yeah.
And people who aren't struggling financially shopping there for bargains. Do you have a theory on that? Should those shops only be for people who are struggling financially? I bought a dry as a bone at a Salvos many, many years ago. I got absolutely hammered by my audience saying I should not have bought that. I should have left it for someone who really couldn't afford it. Was I wrong to buy that?
No, of course not. No, that $18 that you've spent has gone back into their charitable purpose, the Salvos. So, every dollar helps. And if you didn't buy it and no one else did, then there's $18 sitting there that they don't have.
I think it was 18. It was something like 18. I couldn't believe the price of this dry as a bone.
I think coming back to your question, one could wonder why we run op shop and a cafe, a Wounded Heroes op shop, if you like. And what it is basically, Lukey, is as you know, since you've known me, I think 2019, we've struggled to try and get public and corporate donations. So I believe charities, not just in our veteran space, but nationally, 60,000 of us, we all have to find our own self-sustainability. I read somewhere that about a month ago that 60% of all public and corporate donations go to 30 organisations in Australia. So we're all out there trying to battle for the other dollars. So we came up with the concept of an op shop. What we did with that is you've got what I call the other organisations, the Lifelines and Salvos and Red Cross less extent. They've got more of a corporatised model now.
Yes.
They've got head offices and corporate, etc. And of course, it's all about their self-sustainability as well, even though they do get significant money from the government. But what we found in our space is that we're actually not a corporatised op shop. We're actually a veteran-centric raising money for veterans and families. So we've connected the military, Australian military families, the public to our cause. And then what that has done is actually we've had an explosion of donations come through both centres. But you can come to our op shop, Lukey, and you can get a business shirt for $3. So we're also meeting a community need. So we've got a flat $3 clothing rate here. Kids are $2 and babies $1. And that's because it's so tough out there, cost of living. So, and we obviously, that's because we've got a very large donations now because the public understand what we do. And it's provided an opportunity for us to cover our administration costs. So we can put more of the public money and then the corporate money into our charitable purpose. So we're just basically meeting a community. And also, I've been working on, we're also, Wounded Heroes has gone green, because there's a whole program around our green footprint because you're recycling clothes out versus putting them into the dump, etc. And so I found a CO2 model on ChatGPT. So if I had the wherewithal and the time, I'd be approaching the government and say, look, we need support for our green energy program. So we're pretty excited about the program.
See, you've got a lot of foresight. See, what you're doing is you're counteracting all the Agent Orange that the Americans poured on top of Vietnam. So you say you're trying to balance, you're balancing it out.
Yeah.
You're balancing it out.
I'm going to write that one down, Lukey.
I've got to tell you something. So the millennial is very enthusiastic now through my involvement with you, with Wounded Heroes. And when you're recording something like this and you've got new equipment in front of you that you've never worked before, and the millennial, she knows everything. But a lot of the time when we do things, she's over at her place and I'm here in my studio. And she's trying to educate me and I keep stuffing things up. So we've decided we're going to have a glitch jar. And I'm going to get fined and the millennial will get fined when she stuffs up, which is very rare. And we thought we'd have a Wounded Heroes glitch jar, like a swear jar. Are you with me?
I got you. Yeah.
Okay. So for every time I stuff up, we're going to let you do this. How much do I put in the swear jar? $1, $2, $5, $10, $20. What do I? I'm going to let you tell me.
$2 is tax deductible, Lukey. So $2.
I would never do that. I've never ever claimed a tax deduction on a charitable donation. I never have done that.
I think $2 is enough, Lukey. But then I think you can then encourage all the people that you do on your podcasting, suggest to them that they start their own glitch jar, and then we'll
glitch jar at home.
The glitch jar at home, and then
just like the swear jar.
And then we on the 15th of December every year we collate it all, and that'll help us get through our Christmas crisis. There you go.
All right. Well, look, we've only just started this, so it won't be a huge donation this time. I'll give you a personal donation, and that's between you and me for Christmas. But we're starting the Bonafide podcast Wounded Heroes Glitch Jar, okay?
That sounds fantastic, mate. I probably could have filled mine up about 4 times this morning.
I could have filled it up 4 times on our first podcast, son. The coffee. You and I launched the coffee when I was doing some work on 2GB. I've got to tell you, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I have the Irish whiskey one.
Yes.
You know the one? Everybody who has a coffee here says, where can I get it? Oh, can you get me some? I said, it's for a charity. Go online, woundedheroes.org. You cheap bastards.
Yeah.
So anyway, the coffee's great. Tell us, just for those who don't know, explain this, because this is a great story.
Well, yes, a year ago you helped me launch it, Coffee for Heroes. So those that are in the coffee market, there's a fellow called Phil DeBella who used to have DeBella Coffee. He owns about 12% of the coffee market in Australia, and he gave us our own charity blend. It's the Golden Bean Award blend, called in the Signature range, and then we expanded out to a rum-flavoured one, Gunfire. And then, of course, the one that you love is the Whiskey Bravo Zulu. And then he gave us his private collection as well. So we've got double chopped fudge and gingerbread and shortbread and bubble gum and you name it, Italian cola flavoured. But that's just his generosity in allowing us to expand our range. So basically, Luke, we're the only charity in Australia that has their own coffee. Obviously, you've got big organisations that donate significant amounts of money to other charities, rightly so, and could be kids' brain cancer or breast cancer or whatever it might be. We accept that, of course. My favourite charity is the Royal Flying Doctor Service. And Fred Hallows. But those guys, so what we can say to the organisations that are doing the big donations to them, say, look, we get that, but by the way, what are you doing about coffee? So we're slowly but surely putting the coffee out there on the social side as well as corporate. So And then we've got a community program as well. So we've got about 45 community groups that, through a link on our website, if their customers or clients buy coffee through their link, we then donate 5% back of that coffee sale back to that community group. For October, I cut cheques for about $3,100 to different community groups around Australia, including New South Wales Police Legacy, Queensland Police Legacy, along with Camp Quality, and we've just signed up with Girl Guides Queensland. So we're all poor, Lukey, in the community groups. We're all fighting for that dollar. So if we can work together, and that's what we have to do to survive, that was just another way of doing it. But we are the only charities in the surety that Phil hasn't given us a crap blend. He's given us a really good blend. He's given us the opportunity to add another line to our self-sustainability. And I think over the next 2 to 4 years, if we can get that support through the advocacy of yourself and others, and as people get to know the coffee and know the cause that they're supporting by doing it, it should get to a point in the next 2 to 4 years which will sustain this organisation for decades to come. So that's my long game.
I've got a question. The coffee that I've got, the Whiskey Bravo Zulu.
Whiskey Bravo Zulu. Bravo Zulu means good job in Navy terms.
Yeah, okay. Now, I've got the beans and we have to put them through our electric grinder. Do you have that coffee that's already ground?
Yes, so you can buy it in we've got pods. So you can actually buy that in pods.
Oh, no, we don't have that machine. I'll continue to go to the trouble to grind.
Yeah, well, it's a hard slog for you, mate. But
I know. First world problem.
One bean at a time. But no, we've got the beans. We can get them ground into different levels. Apparently, there's different levels of ground you can order, as well as instant coffee, along with obviously the pods.
Okay, coffee, and then it's the number 4, folks. Coffee for Heroes. If you love your coffee and you want your money to go to a very good cause, order it online. And you go to Wounded Heroes. If you just Google Wounded Heroes, it takes you to woundedheroes.org.au.
So, Lukey, we're launching a Christmas pack nationally, which we're about to launch, and we're doing a kilo of the signature, it's a blend, along with a half kilo of our gingerbread linking into Christmas. So we're going to push that out for a kilo of the signature and 500 gram of the gingerbread for about $75. And we're just going to push that out nationally, and we're trying to just get the connection of gingerbread back into Christmas Day. So obviously putting that special out there, and with the help of Phil DeBella supporting it, hopefully then we can raise some really critical money as we come up to the triple whammy with Christmas, with the school holidays, Christmas, and then of course New Year's Eve is when we lose a lot of the boys and girls to surrender their lives. So if we can push the coffee out, and it's also we're pushing it out to corporate gifting as well, Luke. So instead of maybe giving out a box of chocolates, buy some coffee for Heroes, buy some coffee off Wounded Heroes, and it's the gift that then continues to give and has purpose as well.
It's always good to talk to you. Good to see your face, brother. And if ever there's anything else I can do, the answer's for you always yes.
Good on you, Lukey. Thanks, mate. And I'll talk to you before Christmas, I hope.
Martin Shaw, Wounded Heroes. And just let me read you this. They treat every veteran with compassion and without judgment, and they provide support, giving these people purpose and a bit of hope for the future. And when you hear the term "lest we forget," just have a think about that, because a lot of these returned servicemen and women have been forgotten, and we can't. Martin Shaw, talk soon.
Hey, Lukey, I'll talk to you before Christmas, okay?
And I can assure you, the glitch jar will get very full very quickly.
God bless you, mate.
Another Truckie Tuesday. In the gate when you're changing from lanes. Do not brake check me in my prime. Strelly moves and it's thanks to you guys. Trucks to get there on time. Listen to the air horns. Dip your lights from high beam. HPL that help you.
Time to rock on down the highway and talk all things roads, road safety and truckies. And the king of the truckies is Rod Hannafy, who joins me again for another exciting episode of Truckie Tuesday. Rocket Rod, g'day.
G'day, mate. How are you?
10-4, good buddy. Looks like we got ourselves a convoy again. What have you been up to? Where have you been? What have you seen? Who did you meet?
Mate, I did my usual down to Melbourne and back and up to Brisbane and back, and then they said, we need you to do a road train to Tambo So I left Saturday afternoon, took a road train up to Tambo, did a change over there with our Mount Isa driver and came back. Now, one thing that happened on the Hume, Luke, driving along, I was actually talking to our mate Joshua.
Oh, yes, yes.
And this caravan comes up beside me and I could hear this noise. And I thought, it's a bit sus. And he's passing me on the right. And I sort of waited till he just got a little bit in front so I could look at the back left-hand wheel of the caravan because I thought maybe it's a bearing. It was this howling noise.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, he's got past a little bit. Once he's passed in front of me, I can see the caravan leaning over to the right.
Right.
So I move over a bit to have a look and he's driving it on the rim. There is no tyre on the right-hand side, and this howling noise is actually the rim driving along the road.
No
so
way.
Our mate's doing his 105 kilometres an hour up the Hume. So I have new spotlights, mate. I'm an ambassador for Nava lights now. We'll have to talk about that another time.
Nava
but anyway,
lights.
I've moved over. Yes. Excellent, mate. Fantastic. I've got the new Mark III LED spotlights, and they're incredible. But I've moved over and flashed the lights at this bloke. Now, he probably could have seen him if he was in Sydney, but he's only 100 metres in front. So I sat there in the middle of the two lanes so that I couldn't be missed, and I flashed about 10 times. Of course, no radio in the car or anything like that. And he just kept going. And anyway, I rang the police, mate. I rang the police and said, this vehicle's just turned off. He's driving on the rim, and I'm concerned for his safety. Look, whether they found him, they never came back to me and told me. But blow me down if yesterday I pulled up at Augathella and I had to get some AdBlue there, and I could see this caravan parked over sort of in the forecourt, again, leaning a little bit one way, and I thought, So I walked over and the bloke said, oh, you wouldn't have a jack, would you? Well, yeah, I do. It's buried in the toolbox. What do you need? He said, oh, yeah, I just need a jack. I can't get underneath. I haven't got one. Need to lift it up. And I looked at the spare he was going to put on, and I've got more hair than it's got tread, so that's not much. And I sort of looked, and the bloke said, that doesn't look right, does it? And I said, no, the spring had broken clean through. And, you know, Luke, if you've ever looked at something that's broken through, where it's just broken, it's normally bright, because the metal has just sheared. This was rusted. It had been broken for months, and the spring had overturned. The van, the weight of the van had come down on the tyre, sat there and blown it. It was sitting on the other one, and I said, mate, I think you need more than a jack. And, of course, this was Sunday at Augathella, and there's probably one mechanic there who only works when it suits him. So I don't know what he did, but I wished him all the best and left him. But I said to him, did you hear the tyre blow? Now, he at least had a two-axle van.
Right.
There's perhaps a chance that, and the rim was destroyed on it as well, but look, it might not have leant over as much. But, oh, mate, and he had his wife, the first one that's running on the rim. The wife was in the car because I actually looked down for the noise and I saw the wife sitting there. I thought, oh, yeah. But Joshua said, I can hear that on the phone, and you've got the window up and they can't hear it and they're 10 feet in front of it. So that's a bit scary.
It is really scary, isn't it? So he had a two-axle caravan. That's a bogey, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the second one. The second one that was at Augathella, he had a two-axle. But the first one, he only had a single axle. So one tyre each side, and the one on the right, the tyre's missing, and he's driving up the highway on the rim at 105 kilometres an hour.
That is frightening
with
stuff.
This howling noise.
Frightening.
You would have thought, you know, geez, I wonder what that noise is. And, you know, when I pulled out behind him and flashed him, again, you would have thought, no, maybe there's something wrong. Maybe he's trying to tell me something. Obviously not.
Wow.
So that's a worry, mate. And look, you know, everybody's different. None of us are perfect. I had trouble with lights going up, and when you hook a trailer up, you know, you've got your pin that goes in. So you get a male pin that goes in, and you've got the female fitting on the trailer. And sometimes, because they're not really the perfect join for something when you've got two trailers behind, sometimes the pins sort of wear together, and you can stick a knife in between the pins and spread them back out so they have a good connection. So I did try that. That didn't work the first time. Eventually it did the second time. But, you know, so I went up the road and until another driver called me up and he said, oh, mate, your lights are flashing on and off in the back trailer. Oh, righto, mate, thank you. And next place to pull up. And, of course, that's a whole other thing. There's not that many places to pull up once you get out onto the Leichhardt Highway. You've come from Charleville, so we go out to Burke, hook up the third trailer there. You go from Burke up to Cunnamulla across to Augathella and up the highway there. And there's not a lot of places to pull up along there, Luke. I did actually stop on the way home yesterday and put up a couple of extra green reflectors. Somebody knocked down one of the guideposts, and there was a great big set of skid marks there. So again, someone's been driving along at the very last second, seen it and thought, oh, I'll pull up there, and locked everything up to do so. So I remarked that one. And I do actually have a phone hookup meeting with Transport for New South Wales tomorrow about some upcoming works around Dubbo with rest areas. So at least they've included me. They've sent me some plans, which I get to comment on before the meeting tomorrow. And again, it's an issue where there's sometimes just not enough places to stop whatever you need to stop for, let alone to get a good sleep.
Wow. Let us know how that meeting goes next Truckie Tuesday.
Will do, mate.
Rod, we have another voice message here from a listener, and this time it's from a 16-year-old. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, how you going? I'm a young lad, about 16 years old. I've listened to, Luke Boner on the radio since a young fella. My old man's a truck driver. We own about 3 trucks. I used to go with him all the time. And I'm trying to get in trucks myself. I'm 16 years old, and I now work on a farm because, I can't really do anything with trucks down home. Like, I can't even get a job in the yard because I'm too young. I find it a bit strange that I'm allowed to drive a 40-ton chaser bin on a farm loaded with grain and a header, but I'm not allowed to drive, a 2-ton forklift. So that might be a question for Rod or something, but we'll leave you to it. Thank you. Love it. So, yeah.
Well, there you go, Rod, a 16-year-old with a good question.
It certainly is, and it's slightly offbeat, but it's not. I talked to a gentleman during the week who rang me up, and he'd gone for his helicopter licence. Now, this is not an old gentleman, but a mature gentleman, and he's finally gone for his helicopter licence. And during the part of the test, he was actually asked to do an English proficiency test, and he said, "What are you talking about, mate?" He said, I'm 50, I've lived here all my life. He said, what's all this about? Oh, no, you've got to do an English proficiency test to get your helicopter licence. And, of course, you can get a helicopter licence, or certainly a plane licence, at 16, and yet we restrict young people from getting a forklift ticket, and that is one of the roads in. It's not the only road. But as he said, if he could get into the yard and get a forklift ticket, he's there under supervision. It's not like you're letting him loose out in the highway with a forklift. So he's there under supervision, someone training him. And yet we won't let them get that ticket as an in to the industry. And it was discussed some time ago. It got knocked on the head. I honestly think it's something that should be considered. And based on his comments there, he can work on the farm and drive a 40-ton chaser bin. People can get a licence to pilot a plane on their own at 16, and yet we will not allow them to get a forklift ticket. And somebody needs to look at why, whether there is any justification for that. I don't think there is, because that's another one of those things where we lose those young people off to do something else because we can't employ them, and then, of course, we don't get them back.
It's a very, very good question, and I hope he stays in touch with us. And please, all of you, if you've got a question, if you have a statement, if there's something you need to get off your chest, 0291289311. Now, we also got an email from Corey, and he wanted me to talk about this article. Now, we mentioned this last week about Indian origin truck drivers losing licenses in New Zealand. It's a story from the Indian Times along these lines. The story was that official data in New Zealand has confirmed that every one of 459 commercial truck drivers whose licenses were revoked in a nationwide audit on fraudulent conversions happened to have been born in India. Now, if you remember, Rod, there was a terrible crash in Florida where a driver made an illegal U-turn and killed a family. The footage is just horrific. Corey says he's not racist, but asks why the government isn't looking into this, considering recent events, Rod?
And, of course, the gentleman with the helicopter licence made a similar comment. I understand that some people have managed a way around the system in the past. We've discussed that. That was sorted. We, even as the industry ourselves, doesn't matter where you come from, want to see better training, Because as we've discussed, having a licence doesn't make you a truck driver. It means you've got a licence, doesn't mean you know what you're doing. So we want anybody who gets in a truck to be given the right information and knowledge and education to do the job safely. Because every time it goes wrong, Luke, we're all that bad. Now, you mentioned that accident in America. I've seen the footage. Mate, it's absolutely terrible that he can just wheel around, because there was two of them in the truck at the time. The footage clearly shows there was another bloke in the truck with him. And they've just wheeled around, and as the car's just driven straight into the side of it, he's just looked as though he's run over a bug. Like, I cannot understand how that happens. But someone let him have a licence. He got out there and had an accident, and all we ask is they must be properly trained. We can't stop them. There's more of them coming, mate. We need drivers from overseas to fill the gaps, because we don't look after our drivers properly, and we're going to come back to the HVNL review in just a second. But if someone doesn't understand what they're doing, it's one thing if you're driving a forklift. You're in a yard, there's blokes all watching you. It's one thing if you're driving a car because you come from overseas and you're here on a holiday and you're in a car. It's another thing to come from overseas and say, I drive a big truck, and they give you an MC licence and say be in Perth in the morning. And that's what we're all concerned about, the safety of every road user. We don't care whether they come from Antarctica or India or bloody New Zealand. We just want them to get a proper level of testing and training before they go on the road, so they have sufficient knowledge to do it safely. Because every time they make a mistake, and look, we make them too, Luke, we're not perfect. Nobody is, we're human. But every time something happens on the road and it builds on that profile, and listening to it on the radio, we spoke of that accident last week up on the Bruce Highway. And look, I've had information that the bloke involved with that was from overseas and he's already fled the country. I don't know whether that's true, mate. But it is a problem with people in the past. You know, they've come here, they run out of points and they go home, and that sort of thing does occur. We've got to stop it so that we're safe, so that car drivers are safe, and that we have a base to start on that gives everybody what they need to do it safely.
Very, very good advice. Now, we've got another voice message from Tony. I'd like your response, but let's have a listen.
Hey, Luke. Hey, Kelsey. Hope your finger's feeling better, Kelsey. I've done the same thing on a mandolin slicer. But the stupid thing was I was drunk, did the same thing on another finger. So there you go. Don't feel too bad about yourself, mate. This thing happened. Hey, I was just listening to the Truckie Tuesday replay, and again the caravan issue came up. I'm just wondering, if you look at your class as a licence, car licence, isn't there a maximum gross vehicle mass or combined vehicle mass? So if a caravan gets over a certain height, aren't you already, of certain weight, aren't you already compelled to upgrade your licence, and therefore you get a bit of training, even though that training's all about driving the vehicle, not about loading it? But isn't that a start? Isn't that sort of already there in the way the law's written? Anyway, just a thought.
All right. Rod.
He's made the effort to call in and ask the question, mate, and currently there is no weight on your car if you go for a truck licence, a light rigid, and that's where that weight sort of falls with most cars and caravans. But we've asked before, everybody whinges, what's the break point? Now, we don't want to make you go and get a licence to tow your 6x4 to the tip. Might be a good idea, but, you know, perhaps that's not the most critical thing. But, mate, you've only got to look at some of the boat trailers that are on the road. You know, someone's got a big ski boat. They've got a fair bit of weight in that. You've got people towing horses, and you put a couple of Clydesdales in the back of a float. You know, you're looking at serious weight. And now we've got some fairly big caravans. And as your mate said last time around, well, they filled it up full of wine and then wondered why, geez, they were lucky to get where they did. So there is not enough education. We are struggling to get to them, but if there was a licence process, and it's the same, mate, you know, caravanners say, I've been driving for 47 years and I didn't need a licence, and Rod, you've got a licence but you don't know everything, you still make a mistake, so the licence doesn't fix it. but it would give us a platform. It would give us a point at which there might be, a weight where once you tow more than 750 kilos is the current requirement that you require brakes. Maybe that's the break point. And if we gave those people a chance to a course, mate, I've even contacted some of the major caravan manufacturers over the years and said, I've got this thing about sharing the road with trucks. Simple page, you can put your name on it. And if somebody reads it and actually does something safe instead of unsafe, you might save a life. What do you think of that idea? Oh, we'll look into that, mate. Yep. No, I'm still waiting to hear back from them. So we believe there should be a break point from which you have a car and a trailer, and above that you should have perhaps some education or licensing. Some caravanners do. They go and pay for their own course. There are a number of them out there, but they're not mandatory. And realistically, Luke, you can drive your Mini Moke or your Toyota Corolla for 20 years, and tomorrow you can go and buy a 2.5 tonne of Land Cruiser and 3 tonne of caravan and hit the highway with no requirement whatsoever to know whether it's compatible or safe or how to load it or what to do with it. And some people, of course, first trip, something goes wrong that they didn't expect, and that's the end of their car, their van, and possibly their life. And none of us wants that, surely.
Yeah, as we said, I think it'll be next Truckie Tuesday. We might get someone from the Australian Caravan Association with you, and we'll talk about caravan safety as people get ready to hit the highway for the school holidays and the Christmas break coming up. So how about we do that?
Absolutely.
We've got another voice message here. This is from Roscoe.
Hey, Luke, Kels, how are you? Roscoe. Hey, listen, mate, I want to talk to you about the NHVR and this bloody bullshit about fitness for work. I've read extensively on it. I've actually had meetings with NHVR. I've challenged them, and they cannot categorically give me answers or a sliding scale to say this is what we're going to look for in the fitness for work policy. They can't provide me with cold, hard information on how they're going to go about it. And then they, tongue-in-cheek, they say it's going to be a multiplier effect in relation to fines. Really? Who are these idiots? Talk to you soon, Lukey. Kels.
Good on you, Roscoe. What do you make of that, Rod?
Okay, so the NHVR don't make the rules. They are given the rules by the NTC, the National Transport Commission, and required to police them. So up until the 1st of December, there was a consultation paper out about the Heavy Vehicle National Law Review. So I looked at it at 12:30, so I'm actually looking at it at 00:30 on the 2nd of December. And I was told initially that consultation paper was, have we done it right in law? So I'm not a lawyer. I didn't even look at it. I was told that was what its inference was. I dial up, I have a look, and the consultation said, have we achieved our aims? Now, there were specific aims put out when the Heavy Vehicle National Review was started 9 years. Do you hear me? 9 years ago, Luke, just a little while.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money on it. They then put that document out and gave us 2 or 3 weeks to respond. And look at the time, 2 weeks before Christmas, most blokes are scratching their bloody bum trying to keep going and get through till Christmas to have a break. They haven't got time to sit down and read 47 pages to see whether they've done it right. I made a comment about split rest. So we'll come back to split rest and the new fatigue regime. But the NTC sent that law to the Queensland Parliament. It's been passed. I spoke with James from Big Rigs. He had an interview with Nicole, the new CEO from the NHVR, and we'll have to try and get her on one day. She said the fitness to drive will not apply on the roadside. Their SCOs, officers that pull you up and check your compliance and all that, they will not be able to say, I don't think you're fit to drive, unless, you got your arms falling off or something really stupid like that and they think it's unsafe for you to get in the truck. But that will only apply in court. Now, James said he's more than satisfied, and I again spoke with the NTC. They told me the same thing, and that's what I'd been told at the start. Some of the other things we have a problem with. So if he's not happy, he needs to write to the NTC, and yes, they are a body where I fear, Luke, they didn't listen to drivers enough. And you've heard me say that. We don't get heard. And I have a question to every truck driver out there. Who is most affected by the heavy vehicle national law? Who do you think, Luke?
Anyone who uses the roads, I guess.
In a very broad sense, yes, but it's the truck driver.
Yeah.
He's the one the law applies to. He's the one that's got to comply in it. If anyone, anywhere in Australia, can show me one thing that has made a driver's ability to do the job easier or safer or better that's come out of that 9-year review, I'd love to see it, because from my point of view, it didn't do what it should, cost too much, took too long.
All right, well, let's get this new CEO of the NHVR on sometime in the new year, and we'll invite people to phone in, leave their voice message, or if we do it live on the day, and Kelsey will tell me whether we can or we can't, maybe we'll give people the opportunity to ring in, but we'll certainly give you your voice. Leave us a message, 0291289311. Just a bit of trucking news over the last 7 days, Rod. A second person has died following a 2-truck crash on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. This was just last week. The 33-year-old man was one of 2 truck drivers pulled from a crash by members of the public on South West Rocks Road, Jerseyville, 30 k's south of Kempsey. This was November 28. Now, both drivers were flown to John Hunter Hospital in Newcastle. They were in a critical condition. Police were notified a 43-year-old woman had died in the hospital the next day, which was the 29th. Sadly, police were told that the 33-year-old had also succumbed to his injuries, and the report's being prepared for the coroner. What do you know about this, Rod?
Mate, I don't know anything about that one specifically. We know that it's a bad thing whenever it happens. We spoke to Kurt's best mate last week, and that was another tragedy on the road. None of us want it to happen, Luke. The thing I've said to you before, again and again and again, if we know where there is a problem, we as the industry want to know. You know, if the NHVR say we're seeing a really bad increase in faulty brakes, okay, we want to know that, because then we want to say to people, hey, you know, this all good. Make sure, check your brakes. Is it all good? You can be aware of what happens. And that's one of the things I've asked for over the years. And look, I've got to say, the ATA, Australian Trucking Association, has asked that some accidents be properly investigated by someone like the ATSB. Now, not because Rod was an idiot and he did something stupid and he killed somebody, that's bad enough, but because the factors behind the crash. Yes, people simply look the wrong way, blink, hit a bump they didn't know was there, and veer into someone else and people die. That's terrible. But if there were other factors behind that, if there were mechanical factors, if there was a factor with the road that contributed to that, and, you know, they have stats about where accidents occur, then we need to know those things. I don't want to know that Rod's an idiot. I want to know that this has become a problem, so that when you next get in the truck, Luke, you think, I remember that they put out a report and they said, you know, the tyres were bad or something like that. So you think about that and you go and check your tyres a bit better rather than just go bang, 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 yep, they're all round the black, they're all pumped up, away we go. You think, geez, I might just have a look in, get down on my knee and have a look and make sure that the tyre's good on the inside, sort of thing. And I'm sure people in their cars have done the same, Luke. You know, you look at the tyre, oh yeah, but if you got down and had a look, particularly some of the cars now where they're running big camber on the steer axle, the inside of the tyre can be down to the steel and the outside still looks brand new. So if we if we had that information, it would make people a little bit more aware. But unless they supply it, you and I sit back and think, geez, I wonder what happened there, and we'll probably never know.
Rod, with the Christmas break coming up, we all know that the national road toll spikes around long weekends, Easter and Christmas. But I just want to talk about accidents involving trucks. Does that number peak at Christmas?
Mate, we had the NTARSI report, the National Truck Accident Report, released a little while ago. I can't recall whether it specifies Christmas. It actually nominates distances and time of day and many of those factors, again, to sort of make us aware. I don't know whether it spikes, But we all know that a lot of people jump in the car having only driven to and from work, or mainly not even done that, caught the train or the bus or whatever it is, and decide to drive 2,500 kilometres to see Auntie and Uncle Bill and Grandma and all those sorts of things. And, you know, if they don't prepare, if they don't make a plan, where are we going to go? How are we going to go? What happens if we get tired? You know, we're going to share the driving. Where are we going to stop? If they don't make that plan, right, quick, all in the car, we're off to see Grandma, let's go, now. And they're down the highway. And 60 hours down the road, they're getting a bit tired, someone gets towy, and then, you know, things go pear-shaped. So they've got a plan. We have to do it every trip that we do. It's more critical on us because of what we do, and, you know, we're required to meet the laws. But there's no law, Luke, to say that you can't jump in your car and drive for 24 hours. Now, we know that's stupid, but people do it, and people do it when they think, oh, I'm nearly there, I'll keep going, I'm a bit tired, and they're asleep. So, mate, there is no education provided, really. You know, we've got a campaign, and you and I are going to talk about it, but there's no proper road safety awareness campaign for this time of year, and yet, as you say, there is definitely a spike. So we ask people to do a bit of planning. If they're tired, pull up. Pull up on the side of the road. Make sure you are clear. Don't park 2 inches off the fog line and then wonder why you get run into. You know, go into a truck bay if you need to. But if you're tired, pull up. Either get out, walk around the car, or have a power nap. 15 minutes. Now, we should talk to Andrea. There's a lady called Andrea Hamilton Vaughan, and she's a big proponent of power naps. Now, Luke, you know, and I'm sure you're aware, that if you have a 15-minute power nap, that might refresh you enough to get down the road. If you have sort of that 40 minutes or something, when you wake up, you're actually tired because you hit REM sleep and you wake up and you're worse off. So maybe we need to cover that and give that information out to help people over the Christmas break, mate.
Kelsey will be on to that. What's her name?
Andrea Hamilton Vaughan, and she pushes the Power Nap campaign.
Okay, the Power Nap campaign. Let's have a look into it. When I was doing overnights, I used to get incredibly tired on my way home, and there was a service station that was exactly halfway home. And I used to pull in there and have 15 minutes, and it changed. It was fabulous. And because I remember I nearly got home one morning, and I thought, how did I get here? It was frightening. So, yeah, I used to do that a lot. I don't know what happened to Transtar Line Haul, but they've gone into administration, which is terrible news whenever this happens. But the good news for some people is there's an upcoming auction of heavy vehicles. $6 million worth of trucks and trailers are going under the hammer from this national transport operator. HM Advisory, the appointed administrators, have said that there's a significant national fleet of 38 late model prime movers, 56 curtain side trailers, and Pickles are conducting the online auction. What happened to Transtar? I don't know much about them. Transtar Line Haul.
Mate, they were doing a lot of contract work, so it's not like they've got all the trucks sitting there and they just wait for someone to ring up and say, hey, I've got a load, have you got a truck? A lot of their work was contracted, so it's concerning that they had consistent contracted work and something happened that they fell over. So probably 2.5 years ago, Luke, you couldn't get a new truck for love nor money. You were waiting 2 years to get one. Now I have a real concern that we are now on a downward spiral. So this company's gone down. Somebody will know why and how. Again, we'll probably never really learn the truth because they don't tell us. Whoever screwed up, somebody did. We don't know. But those trucks are now all up for sale and all in one hit. And they're not the first. There's been a number of other auctions in the past. Some companies deciding to get out, this one being forced out. So what that means, because there's so many there available, they're going to go perhaps cheaper than they normally would look. If you have to go and buy a new one, you're going to pay a lot more for it. So now someone will go and buy those trucks and trailers cheaper, and then they will think, oh, well, I bought this cheap. I can go out and I'll undercut somebody else to get the work because now I've got all these trucks. What the hell am I going to do with them? I've got to work them. They've got to earn money. Yeah. So they will go out, they'll undercut somebody else, and we're on a downward spiral. Now, I wish I could find a way to push a button and make it go the other way, that everybody was going to pay. And look, I want your public listeners' views. I don't need this from truck drivers because they're going to agree with me. I know that for a fact. But I want your public's listeners' view that if, as an industry, we could convince you that if you paid 1 cent more for your can of Coke, box of cornflakes, packet of chips, whatever it might be. Okay, it might be 2 cents for a new shirt and it might be $10 for a new car. But if you were happy to pay that no truck driver was forced or pushed, or that a company couldn't afford to put tyres on their truck, whatever it is, then that'd be a good thing for everybody, and I don't think it's unreasonable. The trouble is we're going the other way, Luke. We're going down where somebody buys them cheaper, they go in, they undercut, they go broke, then they're cheaper again, and down we go. And, mate, I've had so many people say they're really concerned where the industry's going.
All right. Well, would you be prepared to pay a little bit extra so that truckies got paid a little bit better and weren't forced to get under the pump and drive for unscrupulous employers? Leave us your thoughts, 0291289311. What do you know about the Volvo VL electric commercial vehicle? Lynn Fox are about to trial them.
There's been a few, and for, let's say you've got a local truck, and I think that's what that one's doing. It's doing local pickups, runs around, does all the pickups for the line haul, parks up at night, they put it on charge, away it goes the next morning. That's going to work. To get it on line haul, to get it on interstate, there's still a long way to go. The infrastructure's not there. I'm sure over Christmas, people with electric cars may well find themselves in a queue at a service station halfway to Grandma's waiting for someone else to finish charging their car. So that's another side of that altogether. But look, the truck is the same. Volvos have an excellent safety record. They've been doing it for some time. And yes, in the right place and the right thing, they may well work. There is a bit of a concern from us. We've talked about the fact that they're going to be given extra weight, and yet our roads aren't coping with what we've got on there now. So putting more weight on there just because it's electric, why does that make it suitable to be heavier when I can't? Can't fathom that. That's going to have an impact. And, of course, the other thing is, Luke, they're not buying any diesel. They're still travelling on the road network, and back to the argument of should electric cars contribute to the use of the roads the same as everybody else does, why do they think they should get that use for free?
Indeed. So, Rod, just in wrapping up, what's your final message?
Mate, what you said there about employers, that is one side of the coin, Luke. But there are companies who expect you to drop your rates every year, find some productivity improvement when every other single thing has gone up. So it's not just the truckie doing the wrong thing. Yes, that happens. It's not just the boss saying you have to be there. Sometimes they're going to say, mate, if you can do this safely, are you happy to do it? Yeah, mate. And then you still got to manage your fatigue. But there are companies who employ someone knowing, we just talked about it, Luke, the downward race to the bottom for rates. They take on a company that undercuts everybody else and gives them the work because it's cheaper. We're going to save money. But then because that company has got it at such a cheap rate, they can't afford to do their maintenance. They can't afford to pay their drivers. They can't afford to fix things. And there was a truck abandoned going into Brisbane a couple of weeks ago, sat there for nearly 24 hours. We don't know what happened there. We probably never will. But, mate, it's not just employers. Most of them are good. People that work for them are their family. Let's hope that's how they're treated. But a big corporate company that says, I don't give a bugger about any truck driver or anybody else. I want my stuff and I want to make a profit for our company. They have a role to play. And if they give that work away to someone that's cheaper than everybody else, how do they think they're going to pay their bills? I really don't know, Luke. For Christmas, we'll have to talk about that. And to everybody out there, with that review, there's another review up now on mass dimensions and loading. And one thing, Luke, we currently have a length rule of 19 metres for a truck and a trailer. So they're talking about going to 20 metres, giving us another metre, a little bit more productivity. Now, we, as the NRFA, we had people at our last conference in Shepparton, we said we believe that metre should go into the truck. It should allow us to have a bonneted truck instead of a cab over with a bunk because it's safer and it's better for me, etc., etc. We said, we believe that's it. Now, I also wrote a submission to that review and I said, well, if you're going to give an extra metre to a single and allow singles to be 20, you've got to give an extra metre to be doubles. Otherwise, the trailers aren't compatible. Then you've got odd trailers and you can't fit it. One's over length and, you know, you get all those problems. But, mate, it would seem that closes on the 12th of January, that review. And, again, unless 200,000 truck drivers write in and say, well, I want that meter on the truck, bugger the freight, you know, you're getting enough of the freight, I want to be able to be safe on the road, and that meter should go into the truck, then that's going to go through. And, of course, people are going to put more freight on and say, well, you sit in a cab over for the rest of your life, Rod.
Yeah. All right. Hey, listen, Rod, I just want to play you something. We had some correspondence last week from a listener pointing us in the direction of Travis Sinclair, who has released a song. It's been around for a while now, but I heard it for the first time last week. It's called Yeah, I'm a Kenworth. Have a listen.
Been right there with them. Helped build the nation, stood up to the test. Straight made, I'm the world's best. Yeah, I'm Kenworth.
Hey, and all the Kenworths in that film clip, yeah, I'm a Kenworth, Travis Sinclair, they're all bonneted Kenworths, I'm here to tell you, Rod.
Well, mate, Travis did ring in. I'm sure Travis rang in one night on the night shift program, and you might not have recognised who he was then. I did. He did have a competition going for his latest single. You could sort of nominate and end up in the background of the photo and maybe get something in. I don't know how that went, but we'll have to get hold of Travis and get him on. I actually listened to one of his songs yesterday. He's got a very ethereal song called Road Train, so that was funny while I was driving along. But, mate, he's one of the very few doing it now. He still drives. I believe he's driving for Wickham's now. So, mate, we'll have to see if we can get him on. And, again, I know everybody that says, I'm into music, I want a song for us. Now, he's just done that for Kenworth, and fantastic, well and good. But I want a song for every truckie. And, Luke, we've spoken about doing something, getting other truckies involved. I've started down that path, and we will talk more about that next time around.
Travis, we want a truckie's Christmas song.
Oh, no.
Yes. All I want for Christmas is a Kenworth.
Yes.
All I want for Christmas is to get home safely.
And some won't, mate. We know they'll still be out on the road. So, yeah, all the best to all of them.
Talk soon, mate.
We will. Safe travelling to all, Luke. Take care.
So thank you so much for listening to episode 75. Hopefully episode 76. Well, we think it's episode 76. Coming up very, very soon. We'll have more interesting people for you to meet. Remember, we don't tell you what to think. We just like to give you something to think about.
And Luke, is there a thought of the day today?
No, it's an observation.
Oh, God.
It's a true story. Well, you know, Kelsey, since I got sleeping pills, I have found I'm sleeping so much better.
How many are you taking?
None. I give them all to your mum. All right, look, the episode's done, but before you pull the keys out of the ignition or turn off the lights, here's the dare. Stop dreaming about that holiday and actually enter for the chance to win one. NatureBee is giving away 20 grand of travel anywhere you want. Bali, Broome, Barcelona, it doesn't matter. If it's under 20K, you keep the change. Spend $79.90 on NatureBee products and you're in the running. It's just that easy. So go on, hit the link in the notes or head to naturebee.com, read the T's and C's, and let's see where you end up.